You fuckers think that just because a guy reads comics he can't start some shit?
He was accused of it. That is a fact. He was accused of it. Okay. How many of you look, I want to do a quick poll here. If you've ever been accused of assaulting a child, you just hit a 1 in chat, please. I just want to see how common it is. Obviously, this photo was not taken after he had just been told he was being charged with assaulting an 11-year-old, because he seems way too happy there. So let me get a 2 in chat if you have never been accused of assaulting an 11-year-old. 2 if you've never been accused of that, or any child, any age child, as an adult. I mean, if you're a child and you assaulted another child, that's one thing. Who cares? I did that. But like, as an adult, no, 2. Okay. Look, he's just got really, really bad luck then, I guess. I mean, how do you end up in that situation? Was he with a friend who did it? Did his friend do it or something? I don't know. I need more context to understand how they thought it was Will Jordan, even though it wasn't. It wasn't. Legally speaking, it was not. Okay. But I mean, if it was, I imagine it would have gone maybe something like this.
Going to go into it because I don't need another visit from the Secret Service.
When did you have one before?
Oh, about 6 months ago.
Why?
Take a wild guess.
Was it because of something you said about President Trump?
Yeah.
What did you say about him?
Just the truth.
Which is what?
Read my mind, 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 read my mind. So I kicked him upside the cranium with that aluminum baseball bat, my name
from feeling anything. We solve the wounds in need of healing. It's the damnedest thing I've ever seen. I'm thinking this is the end. 'Cause
USA! USA! Why? Why? Yes!
Ethan's been watching us since day one. Literally, me and Bob, since the first time we streamed together. So he's like maybe seen that, you know, these guys are gonna keep coming at me. I don't know.
New drama just dropped, by the way, while we're sitting
happened?
here. Between Critical Drinker and your boy Zach, now they're fighting. So
oh shit, that's awesome. I love it.
It's Review Tuesday, which means you've had 6 days to gauge what your audience will allow you to say. He's talking about Critical Drinker. If you would just review shows as soon as they came out, like every other critic on the planet, that would make you seem more like an actual critic than a consensus aggregator. Or
you see what he said about fucking RPG character creation?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Oh yeah.
And then it goes on here to say, Critical Drinker responds with, or maybe you know I actually have a life outside of YouTube. You live on YouTube, dude. Don't even try it.
Yeah.
I have a life outside of YouTube. Was away all weekend and only got back in time to watch and review the show yesterday. Seriously, dude, whatever hate boner you're maintaining here, just rub one out and get over it. That's real ironic coming from Critical Drinker. And then over here, Ethan says, seems like Zach hit a nerve, for fuck's sake, man. And then here, Clown's angry. They really can't handle criticism. And then he shows here, this absolute loser has been grifting off. Yeah, but watch this. It gets even better. This absolute loser has been grifting off my name and making videos seething about me for months now. I don't know if he's jealous because his own channel is dying or just fucked up in his head. Either way, it's pathetic to watch.
My God.
And then Jeremy says, they push negativity and hate to their audience. They waited to see what the audience said before giving it a positive review. And then Ethan says, Jeremy, you love The Last Jedi and Ryan Johnson until one day, for some reason, you hated them both. You admitted on FNT that you guys find one little negative half news story and make 19 videos about it. Don't gaslight me, brah.
Oh
dude,
my
did we
God.
did we de-radicalize Ethan with our fucking
What's funny is those two stories are stories that we talk about all the time. Like, we bring it up on here all the time. So
God damn, fucking high five, gentlemen. I think we had something to do with this. Like,
Jesus.
I don't know why, but that drama just hyped my day. Like, I'm gonna go into work with like such a hype behind me because honestly, like we've been doing this for a minute. And to see that some people are starting to understand that the grifting is happening and it's happening in their own backyard is pretty exciting.
It's like we've been right for a while.
All right, you assholes.
Well, there's an interview with the person that made the list, and this is what they had to say. In an interview on YouTube, the man who claims he started Sweet Baby Inc. Detected says his interest in the company began with Gods of War Ragnarok, a game he admits to never having played, where he noticed things were different and wondered, why is this game like this? Navigating to Sweet Baby's website, he recounts looking over projects they've worked on, like the massively successful Spider-Man 2, another game he says he's never played, and noticing a pattern. Sweet Baby Inc. Detective's creator, who said he's based in Brazil, never explains exactly what that pattern is, instead using buzzwords like woke products, and virtue signaling, and noting that several of these games had an extremely diverse cast. Later in the interview, he complains that our games, our entertainment stuff we love, are utilized for this kind of stuff, political agendas, without ever engaging with any of the content he's talking about. This is propaganda.
I'm gonna say this. You should delete your channel, dude.
Amen,
Like,
brother.
You know, I've like, just delete your channel. There's no fucking, you know, there's like no recourse for this. Like, it's the only honest thing that you could possibly do in response to this. You could apologize. You could delete the video. Sure, that would actually fucking, you know, you could make it private or whatever, or make another, do a stream or a video where you go over all the ways that you lied about everything in this video, right? You could do that. That would be acceptable. But really, if you want to do the, you know, any kind of like karmic justice back in the fucking world for the damage that you're causing with this kind of shit, you should just delete your fucking channel.
The whole argument essentially, comic book stores are suffering and they're not doing well. True. And then you're like, and the reason why is because there's lots of women writing comic books and too many women characters. False. That's actually a way of expanding the demographic and getting more people to read comic books. But they'll use that argument and then get everybody like, yeah, yo, that's what changed. That's what's different. And, you know, you get that hint of truth. That hint of truth. Comic stores are suffering. Oh, that hint of truth. And then you can get all these people go, what's the reason for that? And then you can start selling up the lies that it's because of women, it's because of minorities are they're taking over white male space. Complete fucking bullshit.
Men nowadays aren't struggling because feminists aren't allowing them to be men. No, men are struggling as they always have due to growing up with rigid rules for what they should be. Men shouldn't show emotion, a man shouldn't cry if he needs to, men don't talk to other men about their feelings. I would know this because I am a man. It can be fucking lonely. Not because women are oppressing us, that's a whiny excuse. Rather because the hyper-masculine culture that has persisted for centuries forces men to suffer in silence. A lot of men don't have close friends or relationships. They suffer from mental health issues, but are far less likely than women to seek out help, because again, they think this makes them weak.
Names are going to live forever.
My name won't, but Turf Nation's name will live forever.
Turd Nation, am I right?
Turf Nation, I got him.
I got him. Got him.
Welcome. This is
Welcome.
This is this show.
Welcome back to this.
Just me and Turf. Always has been.
Always will
just
be.
the two of us, you know. That's it.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's how it should be.
Look, I would agree with you, but I don't really know what that means still. I still don't really know what it means. Except, like, are we saying that it just means, like, not a fascist? Because, yeah.
yeah.
I'm cool with that. All right. Yeah. How y'all doing, man? It's fucking Wednesday. This is the Shillcast. We got
Indeed it is.
Stuff to talk about. We got three confirmed hosts today. I thought, you know, maybe four, but who knows anymore? Who knows ever? Not me.
Yeah. There's
Bob, if you're listening, the show has started.
Bob, please, we miss you.
We can't do it without you.
We can't.
He's probably getting his comics, man, to be honest with you.
Yeah. He said that something went wrong at the comic book stores, and now he has to go. Or no, I think he bought the wrong ones.
Oh, is that what he said?
Back.
I haven't seen the message.
I think that's what he said.
I'm sorry if I'm calling him out and he's actually did update us. Then I'm a dick, you know.
And DJ just messaged us saying his cat had an accident. So we're actually just being dickheads towards
we're just dickheads calling out our you know, like, look, we're not getting paid for this shit, you know.
No.
But if you'd like to contribute to our Patreons or anything like that, you can. But still, we're not professionals. So why would we be expected to behave like them?
There are no rules.
I will say this though. If you complain about a fucking free show before the show even starts, I might just ban you, especially if you're somebody who, you know, like a couple of weeks ago or last week was in here like, I don't even know if I'm registered to vote. Well, I don't know. It's probably too late. And it's like, dude, the vote already happened. fuck off.
Just get out of here.
So Absolute Batman 2 is pretty good, huh? It continues the awesomeness. The first one's pretty good.
What's the twist with that one?
I have not seen.
Oh, isn't there like a twist, like these Absolute comics?
Oh, you mean like in the whole? I thought you meant number 2.
Oh no. Like what's the thing about
so
Batman here?
With Batman, it's that he, for one thing, one of his parents is not dead.
Oh,
it's his mother, and another thing, he has never been rich. His parents weren't rich people.
Oh, nice.
Which I think is a pretty smart thing to do.
Yeah, it's
kind of ground him a little bit more.
I feel like it's the like, I'm not gonna say obvious because it's like that gives it a negative tinge.
But what he doesn't have in money, he makes up for in fucking just bulk, because the dude is fucking yoked to the max.
Wait, let me. Well, I need to see this again. Oh my god!
Yeah. Oh, you just now seeing him for the first time?
Jesus. Yeah. Damn.
He's fucking
bro's like the level above jacked. Like what the
Yeah, I mean, like he walks into the gym in the first issue and he just like he beats the shit out of this bag to where it just like pops, and then the big dude that actually represents Killer Croc, he's what Killer Croc's real name is, and he's actually holding a crocodile in the comic. He's like, he's jacked too, and he's just like, God damn, dude, you ripped through another one. And it's like, man, the huge jacked dude was impressed by the other huger jackter dude, which is Batman.
This is patriarchy.
Yeah,
that's what it needs to be.
I mean,
that's great. How if he didn't grow up in wealth, then that must have cost a lot for all the supplements you need to get that jacked. Maybe he was just born like that.
Well, I mean, they have like his mom lives in like a brownstone. You see that at the very end of the issue. So like, there's a brownstone apartment. It's not like they're poor.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Okay. It's not he's just not ultra wealthy.
Right.
Yeah, that's cool. It does make sense to be like, oh yeah, Batman. What's a twist we can do? Yeah, remove the wealth. That's
Alfred, and obviously without a wealth, he doesn't have a butler. But Alfred is in it. He just plays an MI6 agent or a former MI6 guy that is kind of just like an assassin, seems like, and he's at one point throughout the issue, he's like on trying to decide whether or not he's going to take out this new Batman guy.
Oh shit!
And so he's like watching him, and it's kind of told through his perspective. But
so we might get a Alfred versus Batman scene.
Well, we already have gotten that. Like, I mean, he straight up, he has a fucking shotgun that's like a super badass automatic shotgun or whatever.
And he killed Batman.
He tries to, or he's like got the shotgun to his head, and he's like, don't fucking move, because if you basically, there's no chance if you move, I'm gonna blow your head off. And Batman moves and grabs the shotgun from him and takes it.
Damn.
And then leaves. And then later on, whenever Alfred finds him, he fucking, Batman pulls out that shotgun, and he's like, you're not gonna shoot that. I know you're not a killer. And he fucking pulls the trigger, and it shoots little batarangs at him. And he's like, he fucking modded my shotgun. He fucking ruined it. Like.
Damn.
So yeah, he took his badass shotgun from him, modded it into not lethal or less lethal, and then fired it at him, and then gave it back like, here you go. Which is pretty cool. Pretty cool Batman thing to do.
That is pretty cool. Nice. So apparently the second one is good.
Oh, I mean, look, man. Alpha Eagle is impossible to debunk because Alpha Eagle does not exist in fucking reality. There's no point in trying to debunk somebody like that. He's a fucking stupid piece of shit moron that lies about people, and he doesn't understand what concepts and words mean. By the way, this is a new era of the fucking initiative. If you think we're going to give any single fucks about entertaining these stupid motherfuckers, you are fucking mistaken. We're past the point. I'm going to wait until Bob and maybe DJ show up so we can all get into it. But still, just trust me when I say that, like, if you're going to show up like, oh, you guys are biased, you're not listening to the other side, you goddamn right. Okay?
Goddamn right.
All right. Joker's wealthy? Oh, that makes so much. Oh, that's so fucking good. God damn, that's good. That Joker's the wealthy one. Ooh.
So is that an actual spoiler, or is it like
I guess so. I'm guessing it is.
Yeah.
So is DJ. Eric DeBunks, he's a spoiler. There he is.
All day, every day.
Hello.
All day.
What's up?
Joker's the wealthy one in the Absolute Batman. That's fucking cool. Hey man, how's it going?
Great. Actually, I just got back from the comic shop, so I saw a lot of those absolute titles are sitting under like the picks from the comic shop guys. Like they'll put out their picks for the week, and
Dude,
like the
have you read
Batman
any of
was
them
like
yet?
at the top of them. I picked them up. I haven't read them. I've got them
Okay.
today. Like I grabbed them today.
I mean,
so.
the weakest one is still terrific, and that's Wonder Woman. I mean, it's not even weak. It's just very, it's not as specifically like here's what's really going to be different about this. There's obviously some different stuff from the original, but it's just hasn't set itself truly apart yet the way the other two have,
Right.
in my mind. But
How many are there going to be, if you know?
whole line of them seems like there's going to be Green Lantern, there's going to be Flash, there's going to be.
It's
Martian
kind of
Manhunter.
refreshing to see a positive response to sort of a alternate take on characters, because I know the New 52 was very divisive, and you know it's really
Well, the
interesting.
problem with that
to
was
see
that
this
they just started all their main continuity over.
Yeah.
You know, so like you didn't have a choice if you wanted to hold on to your original continuity with the New 52. It's like you just like, this is what you have to deal with. Everything that you've known can be, you know, upended at any time, and it just kind of felt insulting, I think, to a lot of fans. Whereas this is like the regular DC universe is still going.
Yeah.
And you can do this too, or not.
Like sort of like the Ultimates with Marvel.
Yeah, exactly. Which, you know, and I pointed out when we talked about Absolute Superman in the video on my channel that like it's kind of notable that both Ultimate line and the Absolute line are both leaning heavily into like class commentary and like, you know, social equity and inequity issues and colonialism, the harms of colonialism and capitalism and stuff like that. Like both of them are like unashamed with that shit, and it's kind of awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's woke.
Oh yeah, exactly.
But it's cool. It seems like there's like both from DC and Marvel. They have like a whole new series of comics coming out that are kind of like, you know, different takes on the typical storylines.
Yeah.
I do have a bone to pick with my local comic shop. If you're out there listening, start carrying big boy sizes. I think everything in a small and a medium is not good.
What, like shirts and stuff?
Yeah. Like every shirt they have that I like is like,
crazy.
oh, we only have mediums. And I'm like, what?
Dude, that's
just
nuts.
mediums?
Every comic shop I've ever been to basically has like nothing but extra larges and shit.
Oh my God.
It's
Yeah, no, it's crazy. Like today we were there and they had they had the Frank Miller Wolverine cover as like a vintage style, and I really wanted that one because that's one of the comics I read growing up, and I was like, oh, I really want one of those. And they were like, oh, we only have it in medium. It's like nothing else, no double X, no, you know, regular large, nothing, no XLs, no, just medium. And then they had a Secret Wars one with like the second Secret Wars back in the 80s. The actual first cover for that, which I really wanted because, you know, that's coming out from the, you know, in the movie side. And I was like, I want to be one of those hipsters where I'm like, look, I was wearing this before it came out or whatever. And I'd never seen one before. And I was like, do you have, oh, we only have smalls. What the fuck? Like,
that's stupid.
How do you only have smalls? So I was a little annoyed by that.
CJH, this is actually not back on topic at all. This is actually completely unrelated and actually boring to talk about and wrong. You're actually factually kind of silly in a couple of spots here. So like, no, that's not on topic at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I had a good day today. We actually went, it was my mother-in-law's birthday party. It was a bunch of old people sitting around the table talking about stuff. But that was fun. So and then we went down the street to the comic shop. So
how much longer did you chat with Low Watermark last night?
I think about an hour, maybe. The stream wasn't that long, actually. I think we stopped before the 2-hour mark. So,
okay.
I mean, I had a lot of stuff that I wanted to talk about, but I felt like I had successfully laid down what I think was a good argument for why queer people are up. Because ultimately, my main focus was, why is it suitable to believe that queer people could be upset about another Trump presidency? And that was really what I wanted. And the two main ones are the gay marriage topic and then the transgender ban in the military, along with the people that Trump has appointed in the Supreme Court. I thought all of those are very strong conversation pieces. And, you know, we sort of conceded on some of it. I do know that Mark had a couple of things, Low Watermark had a couple things that he wanted to go over, like the issue with the, what was it, Chloe Cass? I can't remember the person's name. the individual that detransitioned that we wanted to go over.
I mean,
but I felt like that was straying too far away from
we
what
can
the topic of the
get
video
mired
was.
in anecdotal examples of shit all day long in any topic, and it doesn't really make a productive conversation.
Yeah. Well,
you know,
first of all,
like
what's more well known, the threat against queer people from the government or this random person's story? You know what I mean? And that's really kind of where I wanted to go with that.
I don't feel like you know, nothing against the guy, but it's just I don't feel like he was really open to having his positions changed or even having any new information kind of like affect what he already had in mind.
We did talk a little bit off stream, like when we ended, we kind of had a chat afterwards, and you know, we want to follow up with another stream not so mired in the Trump stuff, maybe something more with like the trans conversations, and I want to have trans people present. I feel like when I'm talking about trans issues, I do so from a point of like I want to defend my trans you know, siblings, for lack of a better term, like the people under the umbrella. But I don't know every single story about every trans person or people that have detransitioned or whatever. And I feel like I do a disservice when I try to jump into that sort of off the cuff without any sort of prep time. Now, if we want to talk about gay shit, like I can do that all day, and I have a lot of information on like the gay community. But you know, when it comes to the trans stuff, I feel like there's a deeper conversation that needs to happen. So
when it comes to trans stuff, it's like obviously it's not something I'm speaking from experience on, but I do, you know, like the information that I had in that graphic I pulled from the Advocate, and then like, you know, when just the some of the stuff that I was arguing last night was just about like kind of rational, like whether or not we're talking about trans people or whatever the topic is. And he's saying that like, oh, some of these people are, you know, these that are being all performative and stuff, you know, they're not to be taken seriously or whatever, basically. And it's like, well, hold on, man. Just because somebody's being performative and theatrical or whatever doesn't mean that they don't have sincere feelings that you should consider seriously. I don't understand the just, you know, throw those people out, you know, kind of argument. Like there's nothing. I just prefer to err on the side of reducing harm instead of just like callously like, oh, those people's takes don't matter. You know,
I mean, and I didn't bring this up last night, but you could also say the same thing about people on the right. What about the extreme, like, I mean, there's so many people on the right that are screaming and yelling about stuff that's not happening. Are we supposed to devalue legitimate concerns from the right because Tim Pool thinks that Haitian people are eating cats and dogs? You know what I mean? Like, that's the kind of stuff where, like, how far do we go? I also want to point out, and again, it's another thing I didn't say last night, and I hate to do like this, what is it, Monday morning quarterbacking or whatever after the conversation, but I think it's important to remember that we vote for people based on what we think they're going to do when they're elected. That goes with any and every single person that we vote for. And it could be based on a vibe. It could be based on a track record. It could be based on policies. It could be based on promises they make. But at the end of the day, we all vote on people based on what we think they are capable of doing when they're in office. So I think it's a little bit disingenuous for anybody, whether it's left or right or center, to say it's not fair for you to hold this person responsible for the things that you think they might do. That's literally why we vote for anybody. We vote for them because of things we think they might do. So coming in and saying that cannot be true because it hasn't happened yet. Bro, that's what we're voting for. We're voting for somebody based on what we think they're going to do when they get into office. So this is not about low watermark. I'm talking about the general conversation about people saying there's no proof that they're going to do any of these things. It's not going to be proof until it actually happens.
Well, I mean,
so,
you know, I don't mind saying it. You know, you're not saying this to me. It is kind of about low watermark as he represents what I think how a lot of people tend to operate in this stuff. Like, as in, you know, until something happens, it hasn't happened. And it's like, and that's the exact logic that like even liberals were saying about whenever people are saying, oh, Trump's a fascist and shit like that. You know what I mean? For all these years now. And it's like, and now of course, toward the end, you know, now at the cusp of his second term, the same people are like, oh, he's a fascist. It's like, yeah, we've been telling you that, man. Just because these things hadn't happened yet doesn't mean you can't look at most likely outcomes that you can extrapolate based on things that have happened and things that have been said. And, you know, it's just kind of weird to just err on like, well, till it happens, it's not a problem, you know.
Are you still having a debate with him? Are you still doing one with him separately, or
I'm not sure. Just because you know, last night was kind of maybe I'll listen to the rest of it that you did with him and see how it goes with that. Just because I was feeling like I wasn't really like that. I was making several points that weren't being they were just being tossed aside. It's what it felt like, and maybe that's unfair to say. Maybe he was later on. He kind of incorporated those into his points.
I think we got to a point at the end where I feel like we both kind of made our stances known. And he did concede. So, for example, I used a clip towards the end where Trump talked about not promoting transgender surgeries or gender affirming stuff, not promoting that at a government level.
Yeah.
And I want to add, like, I was shocked. He was saying he hadn't seen that before, and I was shocked because that was a pretty famous clip. I remember when that came out. That was early.
Yeah. And I didn't know exactly, but I do remember him talking about it. And so I brought that up, and I told him, I said, if this was flipped and he were saying we're going to stop promoting the nuclear family and we're going to start promoting, queer families and things or whatever, it would completely change like the conversation.
What the hell?
Yeah. So, but the thing about it is, I think that I understood what he was saying. Like the term promote is very important in that regard. But then I said promote is, in that regard, is also interpretive. Like, what do you think promotion means? Do you mean
it's a nebulous word. Yeah.
Right. Do you mean just talking about it? This is the same conversation that I would have with people about queer people in movies. You know what I mean? Like they would say that queer people in movies is promoting the gay lifestyle, when that's not what it's doing, but they use the term promote. So I found it hard to accept that Donald Trump's use of the term promote was specifically about spending money on advertising and stuff like that. I found that hard to buy, but he would say that from the conservative space, that's how they would interpret that. And I do believe that. I think that is how they would interpret that. But how much of that is genuine, like this is what he means, and how much of it is I want it to mean this, so that's why I'm going to assume that about it, which is what a lot of people say about the queer community. We just kind of assume things. But again, when it comes to electing people, it is all assumption. That's how we elect people. We assume they're going to do what we want them to do at the end of the day. So I don't know, I felt like we came to a good spot at the end, but it did sort of open my eyes on what could be outside of the more centrist view of like a conservative versus what a more extreme conservative would feel about all this, in terms of just shutting down all of the narrative. And it's quite interesting. I don't know how I would engage with someone who is more concrete in their views than low watermark. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how I would go beyond that sort of conversation, because I don't think people beyond that are looking to have a conversation, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
I mean, I just think it's for me, one of the things I just thought was interesting was you bring up a lot of the issues, and Low Watermark, who I think he seems like a cool guy. I've only talked to him briefly, but like he seems like a cool guy. But he will essentially, a lot of your issues, he'll be like, well, Trump won't do that. And for me, just the fact that Trump says he's going to do that is enough to make him unelectable, in my opinion. And
one thing that
where my stance is, and
I wanted to address and didn't because it was like one of those things where I felt like I'd already just said a bunch of stuff and I didn't want to keep over talking anybody. But like, he kind of ended up at the spot of like, well, basically left or right, Democrat, Republican presidents are all kind of serving the same masters, and it's like in the past I would have said that was basically true. That like
an argument can be made. Obama versus McCain is a lot like that.
Obama and Bush Jr. W. Like essentially there was a lot of the same interest there, and there's still some of them now. But like the Heritage Foundation is not working with the Democrat Party. The Heritage Foundation is going to be, I'm fairly confident still, writing a good bit of the policy that we're going to be living under starting next year, or they're going to be trying to implement anyway. Via Project 2025. The Heritage Foundation is not,
and they're hoping there's not a lot of political pushback or like states that want to fight back against
the Heritage Foundation is not your average corporation that's just like trying to get their be able to sell their goods or whatever with less taxes or whatever, with less regulation. That's not what's happening. The Heritage Foundation is a completely different type of entity. And then also that when we're talking about, and speaking of that, extending from that point, that like the Heritage Foundation is essentially, they're conservatives, but essentially what they are, what J.D. Vance is, what Peter Thiel is, who he's got, influence with the Heritage Foundation, with J.D. Vance and stuff. They're all in pretty tight together. We looked at this on the Fapcast one time. All J.D. Vance's, his political thinkers that he admires, right, are all these essentially libertarians, in a couple of cases monarchists. Literal monarchists who believe that that we should have like a series, like the United States should actually be just a bunch of regions ruled by CEOs, but essentially kings, in practice, but I mean, we would call them CEOs of certain, areas or whatever. And like, no, you may not be trying to achieve a fascist result necessarily, and trying to achieve a result where you're like gay marriage is banned, or black people can't vote anymore, or black people can't marry white people, or anything like that. You may not be aiming for that specifically, but if you are deregulating everything and you are breaking up the way the power distributes throughout the United States, it can very well end up that way. You know what I mean? Because if you don't have any kind of federal regulation about these types of these things, then it's all up for grabs. You know what I mean? And that's the kind of thing that we need to really be worried about. Is not so much that they're going to just necessarily go, now black people can't marry white people or whatever, but that in certain regions, if you start taking away power from the federal government and you start giving it out to states, and then if that even breaks down even further, then anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes
It's an exciting time we live in. We gotta see what happens.
Hey, man,
this is breaking news.
Unwritten.
Breaking news. You guys are familiar with Polymarket, right? That really bullshit company that had all the crazy polls before the election came out, like the right-leaning Trump is winning and this, that, and the other. It was like a lot of really random polls.
Okay.
The CEO has now been, I guess, confronted by the FBI, and they've seized all of his electronics and files from him. Because apparently there's some stuff going on behind the scenes that we're not aware of with this election that I think we're going to start to see sort of come out that isn't being like made public at the moment.
That's weird.
Yeah, I mean, look, I know a lot of people say, "Oh, you're on the left, you can't be an election denier." I think asking for recounts is not an election denier. I think 4 years later, when you're crying that somebody still won, that's an election denier. But
when you started a conclusion,
after 60 cases where it's just been proven false, that you still go on about it.
If you start at the conclusion that our candidate lost, and that's the only thing I'm going to accept anybody saying, officially is no. I don't think anybody's saying that. Like, however, in fact, I will denounce these motherfuckers that are like Starlink. Somehow interfered with votes or something like that. And I don't know if you guys have seen that, but like, that's like,
I've seen all types of stuff, and it's kind
blue
of
MAGA is what you call those types.
It's almost always from blue check marks on Twitter. And it's like, God damn it. They're just farming engagement for people who want to hear good news. Listen, if there's something suspicious or if election is really close, yes, let's do a recount. I think that's 100% reasonable. Let's do a recount. Let's make sure every vote counts. At the end of the day, do I think Kamala Harris won this election? No, I don't. But if there's cause for it, let's do a recount.
It's worth pointing out, though, and because I've seen people saying like, "Oh, well, it's just clear that this country is just so fucking fascist and stuff," and it's like, no, she lost, okay, but she lost by something like what, 2.5 million.
It was a very, very tiny amount. Like,
and because look, Trump's campaign was fucking smart. I will give him that. They knew exactly what locations to play into. My girlfriend was telling me, I haven't looked into this yet. She said she looked at it a little bit, and it seems like what happened is that the other candidates, because I was saying there were no spoiler candidates. There were, that like Jill Stein wasn't a spoiler. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. wasn't a spoiler, right? But she was saying actually, if you look at the very specific regions that they got the most votes, that it seems to be kind of the same regions that were battleground areas, and you know what I mean? And it's like they might have actually been some kind of spoiler candidates in that regard, but nonetheless, that's the right will hear that and say we're just coping. I'm not coping. Trump won, man. He fucking won. And my position anyway is that I want to see him prove me wrong. All of the shit I've ever said about him, all of the terrible fucking things I've assumed about his presidency.
I will say this: if he enacts one thing from Project 2025, that's it. That's a done deal for me. Like if one of those things that's listed in Project 2025 becomes reality, then everyone that's ever told me that I was crazy, that this was all bullshit, it's literally like, don't speak to me again about it. Don't say another word to me about it.
That's not what I'm talking about, Lucifer, and you know that. I'm not talking that. I think that was the distraction. That was the magician's right hand. Well, with the left hand was like he had hired people that knew exactly where to apply pressure, voting, campaign wise, and like
what Trump did on the campaign was fucking stupid, but he had good campaigners behind him, obviously.
You teasing me?
But I will say, you know what? I remember a 60 Minutes interview a while ago where Trump revealed essentially that he thinks everybody should get health care coverage, and if need be, the government will pay for it. You know what, Trump?
That was right before.
Cool if you want to do that.
Do that.
Sleepy
Yeah.
sick.
I
Somebody
think
asked
Bernie
earlier,
has
like,
a plan. You just have to sign in. I mean,
somebody asked earlier, what is Trump going to do that's better than Democrats? Well, I mean, I guess give us jokes to make.
I mean, you
I don't
want
know.
us to predict
every
you want us
day
to
a frustrating
predict
story
stuff?
about how incompetent
You want us
he
to
is.
predict stuff? I thought that's not what we do when we elect people. We don't predict things. We have
I think
to
I saw
know
somebody
right
say
away,
that
so.
there's like that he has two chair people for the Department of Efficiency or something like that. Is that true? Is that a true thing? Like,
Yeah, I think it's
There's
a
a
new thing,
Department
but
of
it's supposed to be
Efficiency?
like Elon Musk, and I don't remember who the other guy.
I mean,
And that's the
you guys,
Department of
you see
Efficiency.
the infighting in his picks is crazy right now. I don't know if you're keeping up with it, but like
I
people
haven't.
that are baddies selecting women in roles, they're like, you're putting women in roles they shouldn't be in, and the fact that Marco Rubio was selected, and they're like, no, we don't want Marco Rubio. Now apparently Benny Johnson is mad about someone else he picked. I saw that pop up earlier. So there's just so much infighting right now on who his picks are. But look, good news. His turnover rate is extremely high. It's just like an Applebee's. Like the staff will change in a few months and we'll have a bunch of different people. So
Yeah, we can go through everybody. Maybe we'll get some leftists in his
and what'll
administration
happen
because
is
he'll
when
run
he
out
selected
people.
them originally,
Bernie Sanders.
yeah, the ones he selected originally, the best for the job, once they're no longer there, they're the worst, awful people on the face of the planet. And the new people
Every
that he
single
selected
time.
were the best for
Yeah.
the job. So
Every time, man.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's pretty much what it is.
it's a magical.
I have to
thing.
laugh at it
I
because it's
think-
so infuriating that we live in a reality where people voted for a convicted felon who is now electing felon, or not electing, but appointing felons.
I think
in
you're
his
talking
cabinet.
about what I was talking about, the Fox News host getting nominated for freaking Secretary of Defense, which is one of the most important cabinet positions, by the way. That's military shit. And
Oh, that's
Fox News
horrifying.
host-
Well, I want to
That's
say
bad
that
for the rest of the world too.
Greg says Trump says trans wasn't a thing until a few years ago. Well, that's a lie because I have information of him talking about trans people from the 90s. So
trans people have been around forever.
well, it's not
There's-
just that. He
there's
knows they have
information going
because
back
of the Miss
decades.
Universe pageant. He talked about the Miss Universe pageant, which happened before he even was elected into public office. So this is what I'm talking about, like lies. I respect people. I think I hold people in a higher regard than what I probably should sometimes. That like
No, you should. You're just at the look. Keep what you're doing. I think that we need to have people like us that actually expect people to stick to their fucking word. You know,
I mean, just have
otherwise,
some fucking morals and ethics. Like, it's really crazy. If you're going to stand for something, stand for it. If you want a liar, just say, I want a liar, because that makes more sense to me than pretending they're not lying, because that just seems like you're stupid at that point.
The thing is, the main
Listen.
argument I've seen, because I've been seeing like conservatives going onto streams and talking to more left-leaning people, and the response to people calling Trump a liar is always like, well, all politicians lie.
Right.
You
That's
know?
the code. That's a cope. That's a cope.
Yeah, as if that just makes it all right, you know. And
Yeah.
so if I mean, apply that to anything else, man. Apply that to rapists.
So
or
why
something
was
like
it that
Yeah.
Kamala was held to a standard when they didn't believe that she was black, or they didn't believe that she worked at McDonald's? Why was that such a huge sticking point if all politicians lie?
yeah,
You should have just
Some motherfuckers are always trying to ice skate uphill.
accepted she's a liar, right? That's okay. It's okay for politicians to do that. So we should
Politicians
not have
do.
been using that as at all if that's the case. If lying is okay.
that's also such a
Listen.
weird like place to stand, being like, you know what, I'm fine with it. All of our politicians lie. That's just like
Right.
that's the starting point. It's like
I think
that's a sad reality.
it is a sad reality. Look, I'm not saying that that politicians are always 100% honest. Sometimes they do
No.
skate around topics or whatever.
yeah.
But to say that that's okay for the level of lying that Trump does compared to a politician that doesn't show all their cards initially, it's just not a comparable thing.
Listen,
Yeah.
Saying like the one thing that really drives me crazy, and now it's permeated into the public space, I guess, is that kids go to school as one gender and come home as another gender.
Oh yeah.
That entire thing is so completely batshit crazy that the fact that I have to even talk about it or discuss it realistically drives me up the wall. It just doesn't happen. There's no case of that happening.
We should have seen it coming whenever they were talking about, having litter boxes in classrooms because people that identify as cats.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's like, well, I mean, if you know why there's quote unquote litter boxes in some classrooms, why there actually are, then it's fucking dark, man. And it just goes to show how craven they are and how willing they are to make up something completely insane to cover up something actually insane that's happening but just makes them look bad, so they don't want to talk about it.
Listen,
which is
they might
school people.
They might outlaw being trans. They might get rid of gay marriage. There's lots of things they could get rid of. We might destroy Gaza. We might get rid of Ukraine. But guys, guess what? The price of eggs might go down a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's totally
man, are you serious right now with this shit? Come on, dude.
No, it is 100. No, that's true. It is the day, literally
fuck.
the day after the election. The trending things were what is a tariff and how do I change my vote? That's literally the top trending things in Google Trends.
Why is America so powerful?
And and it's one of those things where it's like, I don't know. Maybe you should have done this research before you voted.
There are people mad about adults identifying as toddlers whenever it's like not something that affects anything, and it's not like anything that happens outside of anybody's. I mean, like it's not even a real fucking thing to worry about, man.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Yeah, I mean, this is the darkest timeline for sure.
It is. It really is. Like I just can't believe it. I've talked about like real issues that we have to deal with, and we're worried about something from a portion of our community that is so, in terms of power levels, so insignificant at a level of power, like the queer community, cannot make sweeping changes in this country. But you know who can? A bunch of Republicans.
So I've got an opportunity right now for us to talk about like their new attitude about you bullshit going forward, guys. And so like just right here, what do you think? Should we give this guy a chance to like give an example of what he means? Or
the reason why you guys have to defend crazy positions is because when some of these crazy positions were trending, some of y'all embraced it. I don't even understand what that means.
Yeah.
Give us one example of what you're talking about.
What is a crazy
position?
Yeah, I want to know what that is. And yeah, just I'd love to hear it because I'm pretty sure it's going to be something like it's going to be a lie. It's going to be something stupid that is not happening. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it's either a lie or just something like trans people deserve to exist, and then it's just like
I was thinking it's a good thing that I decided to grow a goatee because I think we're entering the mirror universe. So
yeah,
but well, I mean that's good because we didn't embrace that. There's no open borders. There hasn't been any open borders. There hasn't been. Period.
It doesn't exist.
That's a fucking. I just talked about this last night. Whenever fucking
it was one of the things you brought up. Yeah.
It was like, dude, there's been no. That's literally a phrase that's injected into the discourse by the right wing. That just like, what do I say to that? It doesn't exist. And then you go, yes, it does, because I heard it on Fox News.
Doesn't the whole like concept of illegal immigrants like just contradict the idea that there's an open border? Like
that's a really good point.
Border, none of those 20 million or so.
If it's open, then they're all legal.
Stupid on its
face. Exactly.
Argue it because it's like what?
Like choose a fucking position.
Okay, so he gave an example. You want to pull that up, Dane, and see if you understand what that is?
Okay, so was this us though? Was this us?
When I heard people, quotations, people talk about defund the police, I remember some of my not us, some of their leftist friends saying, yeah, we need to take the system down. I don't remember ever giving us a position on this, ever, in the time we've talked here.
No.
But I will say the defund the police concept, that phrase was completely misconstrued by the right. Because it wasn't literally saying we should get rid of the police. That was never the discussion.
So the vast majority of people are not comfortable with trans people in sports.
That's just not true.
That's not true. That's not even true, man. And I mean, the fact is, it's never even like a problem until.
Well, I mean, the fact that they campaign on trans people in sports. I want to say right now there's 6 trans athletes in the world. It's not like a widespread issue that can be handled case by case.
Let me just look. Let me extend a little concession here with this person, even though I don't know you, whoever you are. Why is it immediately like we need to erase trans people from all activities before you sit down and decide what you think is best with trans people when it comes to sports? It's not even like, because you wouldn't want a trans woman competing with men because you would probably make fun of that and find it ridiculous. And then you don't want trans women competing with women because you think they have an unfair advantage. So where do trans people go if they want to compete in sports?
So you're saying that your position is that trans people should not be in sports, period.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like what? Because there's not enough trans people to create their own sports leagues, so they have to compete in the ones that are provided for them. So what happens to trans people that want to play in sports? Do they get left out entirely because they're trans? Because then, guess what? That's transphobic.
I mean, I remember a few months ago hearing about that trans dart player winning a competition and everybody fucking blowing up over that one.
The chess player,
it was just,
the trans chess player.
Yeah, it's like the fuck. Like,
and I mean,
what does gender have to do with any of this?
If you want to talk about, we should start like breaking down sports based on different levels of chemicals in general that people have in their bodies. Like, then sure, we can talk about that. It's going to get real messy really quick. But otherwise, it's not like there's trans people. Show me where the trans person has entered a sport and then just dominated that fucking sport.
Well, the one that Riley Gaines complains about wasn't even the one that came in first place.
Yeah. The thing is, biological and like physical advantages is like the main thing in sports. Like there's reasons that us four are not the biggest athletes in the world, you know?
Well, I mean, you look up Leah Thomas's actual record, and you see like there's actually nothing sus about it. Like they talk about how
they don't have an advantage, you fucking moron. That's not a fucking thing that exists.
It was literally because that was when she was taking when she started her sex change.
Okay, let's. You know what? M. Nemesis had a good point here. M. Nemesis said we shouldn't be entertaining this guy, and that's the point. We just go ahead and get this fucking straight right now. We're not gonna fucking entertain this goddamn retarded fucking bullshit anymore on this fucking show. Okay, I don't give a fuck what you say about me and what words I fucking use. I don't care. I don't want to fucking entertain shit like this because you don't even know what you're talking about. You're just saying like half thoughts based on shit that you heard from fucking propaganda from Fox News or fucking wherever the fuck you heard it. Okay, you're saying you don't want people don't want trans people in sports. You're not even completing a fucking thought with what you're talking about, dude. You're just saying buzzwords and you think you are. Okay? Like you're not informed enough to be making these kinds of points and fucking raising these kind of protestations. And that's true for most of you motherfuckers who voted for Donald Trump. For most of you, it's fucking true. Some of you maybe have memorized the talking points a little bit better than others, so you can fucking kind of, squirrel your way around a conversation. But most of you are just too goddamn dumb to entertain, and we're not going to do it anymore. You're fucking fascists. That's it.
I want to point out that, again, the question that I asked, the question where we could come to some sort of agreement is completely overlooked. There's no solution when it comes to trans people, which just proves my point that they don't want trans people to exist because they can't put them in a box where they can control what they do with their lives. So they have no answer. So
yeah, it's also like it is very frustrating that Republicans and big people like Joe Rogan, they focus so much on, for example, trans people in sports, and it's just like there's so many issues going on in the world, and it's just like trans people in sports. It's just like you mentioned, Bob. There's not a lot of trans athletes. It's such a small issue compared to if we're talking within like the country, like the economy and inflation, and fucking other rights, like trans people in general, and like in the world, there's Palestine, there's Ukraine, there's all these issues, and it's just like they're hyper focusing on trans people in sports. It's like it's not that big of a deal, the big sport corporation organizations, the Olympics, like they have their own guidelines for this. It's just like it completely derails more meaningful conversations.
It really does. It reminds me of something that was brought up at the end of your conversation with Low Watermark, which I just caught up with, where Low Watermark brought up that like the vast majority of people have never met a trans person, which is actually something I disagree with. I think the vast majority of people have probably met a couple of trans people.
They don't know that they've met one.
They just don't know.
That's a good point. That distinction is important. Yeah, that makes sense. I didn't even think of that, but that's a good point.
Yeah,
I know I've met a few, and I'm in freaking Ohio.
But doesn't that just help push forth the concept of gender being a construct? I mean, because
it is.
If you met someone who was trans and they were presenting for you in a way that seemed like they were passing for you, then that would even further the fact that gender can be manipulated.
That's the thing. All of these, all the people who are like, well, I can tell a trans person, just whoever they are, just by looking at them, and I will say their biological sex or whatever, But like all of these people have probably seen images or have met or seen an actual trans person that they haven't, realized is a trans person, and that just completely derails that whole fucking there's it's set in stone and it's completely binary and it's not a construct.
I also want to point out, though, another thing that sort of gets overlooked is trans people that I know, and I'm only speaking from personal experience with this or relationships, so I guess it's sort of anecdotal. I don't think a lot of them, they did back in the day, but I think more modern trans individuals don't necessarily care about passing in public. They just want to exist as they are.
Yeah.
And I think that's another thing, is that the idea of like a lot of times you would hear, or at least I would hear in queer media when it comes to trans people, is the illusion that causes confusion because you don't see it as a situation where someone is one or another gender, kind of like as a gender bending thing. I think that's sort of gone a different direction. And now a lot of trans people should be able, I would say they need to, or they should be able to exist without being beholden to specific gender guidelines either, you know? And so, you know, in some ways you might be able to see someone and you go, yeah, that's a trans person. I noticed they're trans. And other times they're not, but both of them are still valid individuals.
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Like the whole point is that you can't just tell, you know, like all those people who claim to be like, oh, I'm like it's the chromosomes. Anyone who says that, they're just lying, you know, and then or they don't understand anything.
Which is like the idea of people identifying as like a helicopter. I've heard that phrase so many times. Who actually has done that? Who's identifying legally as a helicopter? No one.
I mean, that's an original joke too. Nobody's done that one.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, the point of their in their minds, the point of that joke is to say that, oh, so anybody can just identify as anything, and it's like, well, no, that's not what anybody's really ever said. You know.
Oh, you mean they're thinking it's a slippery slope, kind of like what we are saying about Donald Trump, but that's acceptable slippery slope criticism, but ours is not. Interesting how that works.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It's if you take this stuff to its logical conclusion, and you're saying that a person has to be a certain thing, and these measurements need to be a certain way, otherwise they are, there's just something abnormal and unideal, to say the least. But I mean, you know, you get, the more fascist your fucking culture is, then the more likely it is to say that they're not welcome in society if they don't fit these certain things. And like, so measuring fucking Adam's apple or fucking neck or jawline or whatever it is, or measuring fucking skull shape, you know, it's all the same shit ultimately.
But that also reinforces the concept that a woman is something that you can objectify and calculate and quantify based on how they look, which comes down to a visual aspect, which is not what they argue. They would argue that the biology makes someone a woman, but then if a woman looks less attractive to them, they immediately start using anti-trans language and saying, oh, she looks like a man, or she's unattractive. We see it in video games all the time. You put a woman in a video game that doesn't look like a plastic Barbie doll, and everybody freaks out and loses their mind. So it's not even really about that to them. They say it is, but it's not. It's about what they visually look like at the end of the day.
Organized Chaos, it says that your
organized,
thing is having trouble streaming to YouTube for some reason. I don't know why that is.
I don't know.
I was being hacked by Donald Trump right now.
Yeah, apparently.
He's coming after us one by one.
Maybe an issue on YouTube's edge.
Did you get banned on YouTube?
I don't know. It looks like I'm live.
What a way to find out if it is.
Yeah.
Let's see. Then it has view on YouTube down at the bottom too. So like maybe. Anyway, yeah. So the point is, no more responding to that bullshit. And we have. Other
I
things
can't
to
promise
talk
that
about.
I'll want, because I love to smack people down on my shows. But
Sure. I mean, okay. So I mean, just what I mean is, don't expect to show up and us entertain you if we don't feel like it. We might either, we might entertain what you have to say for a minute, and then we might, smack you down, or I might, call you names and yell at you like I did a minute ago. And who knows? It's just, but don't expect.
I find
civility.
troll accounts to be ridiculous from the jump. And here on YouTube, you can never tell like if somebody's going to be legitimate or not, unless they're a person that gets on camera and you can hear their voice or you can see them saying something.
Well, I mean, like a guy just showed up. Somebody just showed up to say that they said the song I uploaded on my channel sounded like a Stained song, and it's like, man, you don't know music very well if you thought that sounded like Stained. Like, I mean, I mean, I would be insulted if it sounded even remotely like a Stained song, but it doesn't. I mean, there's plenty of things you could say it sounds like and insult it, but it's not that.
Your name sounds like Stain.
That's true. And they didn't spell Stained wrong in the first place. You put the E in there. You can't fucking spell it right.
They put the E. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Why are they referencing Stain?
We're talking about a fucking early 2000s new metal band. You can't spell it right, motherfucker.
That was a band that was big when I was in the fucking dorms. I got fucking sick of Stain, but
I mean, the reality. So KC here says prices already going up. Dump will kill us all. I think the reality is, unfortunately for all of us who are going to have to suffer through this, that the people that voted for him are going to have to physically be subjected to whatever happens with his stuff. Like, they're going to have to see for themselves that we were right. Now, I don't want to be told I'm right. I actually don't want to hear a fucking thing. When they find out that they fucked up, they can stew in it. So, your stream is broken.
Sorry if I got you banned, Bob.
I wonder if I got an email or something. Let me see.
Damn. Oh, well.
Oh wow.
Hopefully nothing major.
Yeah, look, like when I clicked on your stream, it just spins. The circle spins for the video.
I have no idea.
For me, it's playing on YouTube. Oh wait, never mind. It's spinning.
Melania Musk
Yeah,
is
it's
our
just
first lady.
spinning. What the fuck?
Damn.
That
Is
makes
this the
no
end of Organized
sense.
Chaos?
They're coming after you, Bob.
Yeah.
But if you can't watch on Bob's channel, you can certainly come to mine and subscribe and become a channel member.
Nice.
Really
Just leave the
appreciate
super
that.
chat and move over.
It's somebody that was like, we're going to debate that Organized Chaos guy. Then they actually watched him debate somebody and were like, oh, fuck, we can't fucking fuck with that.
No, I wonder what the heck's going on. I wonder if it's got to be something going. I have nothing on my email or anything. I suspect it's something going on with StreamYard in my channel. They're bickering with each other.
Well, while you figure that out, I can show this again. Just so everybody, make sure everybody's seen it. We're gonna try and have some guests. I'm thinking that I think that Pop Counterculture might make it.
Ooh, nice.
Oh, nice.
I noticed that my channel got hit for that song. I don't know what song that is, but it did get me like a copyright.
Did it really?
Or whatever. Yeah, I don't know what it is.
I found what was supposed to be a fucking copyright-free award song, like a generic award song.
Yeah,
sometimes the copyright-free doesn't always.
Yeah, I've gotten.
That's not always true.
I've gotten blocked from copyright-free stuff before. It's
Oh
like,
man, I'm sorry.
Yeah, mine also got claimed.
God damn it!
All I did was mute the music though. I went in and muted the music and it was fine. But
Yeah, that's the best thing to
Yeah,
do.
a lot of time I'll just trim it out.
Well, then I won't show that again until I change the music, and I'll test it out first. But what should we
Sometimes takes a little
do?
bit,
Like,
but yeah.
because I know that we want people to vote on some of these things, but should we just have a Google form? Because really, more than voting, what I want is to make sure that we have plenty of nominees, and that we as far as like, not more than voting, but I mean as much as important
as long as it doesn't like the least amount of manipulation as possible. I'd like for it to be as legitimate as possible if we could do it
in the vote.
Yeah.
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 Like I don't want somebody just coming over and like doing 1,000 votes, but I don't really know any way to.
Well, that's why I was thinking that like at least, I don't know. That's gonna be difficult. Maybe it would need to. So what I think we've already decided we're going to do is do it internally within our community, like in our Discord.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we could do Survey Monkey. I don't know if that costs money, but Survey Monkey does.
I'll look into it. I had no idea like what even the name of a platform to use would be. So.
Yeah. There's Survey Monkey. There's Typeform. I just looked it up. There's MailChimp. What is up with all these references to apes and monkeys? Pollmaker is another one. Mentimeter, Slido. There's a bunch of them. It looks like.
I don't know if this is gonna get fixed. I'm just gonna go ahead and end the stream on my end. So guys, just go somewhere else, which you can't even do because you're already somewhere else because mine isn't doing this. So I'll just go
They
ahead
can't
and
hear
on
you.
my end.
You can come to mine and sign up as a team member. That would be really good. Just
Opportunist.
yeah, you know. I'm sorry it's all this is happening to you, Bob. Come subscribe.
It's
to
very
my channel.
sad.
Come subscribe to my channel.
But I will be live tomorrow though. So
hopefully they didn't come for you. I'm wondering what happened. So
Everyone come
Well-
to my channel so we can mourn Organized Chaos's channel together.
it's very sad.
We still got 87 people watching. That's pretty good.
yeah. Wait, somebody stop watching on my channel. What the fuck, guys? Come on.
So, let's see. DJ Eric, you had a couple of videos recently that I thought were very good and raised good points and had good discussion immediately in the wake of the election. I don't know if, I didn't know if you would be here today, but I was going to play one of them at least just to kind of have a jumping off point for that.
Yeah, we can do that because I don't know which one it is. So go ahead and I'll
look and see what the names of them are.
While I talk, I'll be quiet. So
yeah, what do you? God damn it! Get under the blanket and shut up. My cat's just like trying to pull the blanket back, and he's just scratching at it because he wants to get under there and like curl up. Just do it. What do you? Just do it. What are you doing? Come on, man.
How old is Gordy? Oh.
He is 4.
Okay.
I got him in.
My cat was just
2021.
running back and forth. If you look early on the stream, you just see me going a lot because my cat's going insane. He's calming down now, but he's 1.
Let's see. I guess I need to look on your channel because I don't know where I downloaded those videos to. It's the ones that like the one that, about giving up. You know, where I guess we just need to give up now. The one that was responding to the tweets from Reverse Goalposts and EVS. And then there was the one before that, I think, that was about
the Eric July one about the wokeness and everything. Yeah, yeah. About them playing victims. They're also winning, but they're also losing at the same time.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked about it. I didn't expect it to actually happen so quickly. You know what I mean? The whole victim narrative, like they won the election and immediately, like within 3 days, they're still like, but don't get complacent. They're going to come after us and everything. It's like, dude, you guys have the Senate, you got the presidency. Like, what? I don't know what the fuck.
So it was the Eric July both had 2 answers for the question, right? Like it was like he has to have the 2 different avenues to take because
if woke was going away in Hollywood because of Trump getting elected, that was the question. And he had 2 answers, and they were both complete opposite. It was him basically trying to control the grift, like continue to maintain like
Saying
his
yes and no.
his content.
it's going to be interesting to see how they do because like during the first Trump presidency, I remember I was thinking about it the other day, like they were pretty good at making it seem like that everybody was just resisting Trump, and that was the thing that they were still a victim of. And I'm sure they'll try the same thing again this time. But like, if Trump, if they literally have they have everything right now, the Republicans, they got it all. Like, so what's to stop them from like enforcing Hollywood to do whatever the fuck they want them to? You know what I mean? Like, they could. It's
a pro censorship stance, and it legitimately is censorship. It's anti-free speech, which is one of the things that baffled me the most. Like, if we're talking about you or I or them or someone else criticizing someone's art, that's not anti-free speech. That's you just criticizing somebody's art. But if you want the government to do something to prevent people from creating content that you don't like, that is anti-free speech. That's censorship. That's government overreach. Literally, like the literal definition of government overreach. Which is weird coming from Eric July because he says he's a libertarian. So I don't know why he's even supporting Trump or supporting any sort of government getting in and shutting down wokeness.
Because he fucking is a Trump supporter, flat out. He just is. It's clear. Like he may say that he's not because he's taking that position of like, oh, I'm too independent to be, libertarian to care about government. But like the fact is, he fucking supports Trump. Same way he supported fucking what's his name, Emilio or whatever in was it Argentina or whatever that fucking won. He was completely he was over the moon over that guy winning.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's ridiculous.
Are you sure you Chase Oliver?
I mean, look, just 7 hours ago, he uploaded a Trump second term. Like he's all in on Trump, even though he says he's not a Trump supporter. But every video he's made has been him being excited about Trump being president.
No, he said you go take a shit in the voting booth. Remember? Well, I mean, that's technically what you're doing if you're voting for Trump, to be honest.
I
You're
mean, like,
taking a shit to the
just
booth, but-
looking at what he's done, and this is what I think I said it on, I either said it off camera, on camera with Low Watermark last night, is the immediate shift to political commentary from these guys after Trump won is very telling. I'm talking about like Star Wars Girl, Nerdrotic, the Phantom Menace, Geeks and Gamers, Eric July, all these guys. Their immediate shift just validates what the fuck we've been saying about them for the last 2 years.
I mean, look, I'll say that, you know, I admitted that I think that the Shudpocalypse thing was, we were not wrong about that. You know, you can look at the but we were not fully realizing the other half of it, right? Which is that, yeah, we could look and see that the Geeks and Gamers channel was tanking. We could look and see that all these channels were not doing well at all, except for Drinker and Nerdrotic. But that at the same time, Geeks and Gamers, he wasn't worried about his fucking Geeks and Gamers channel because he had his D-Day Cobra camera, fucking banging those numbers out with just straight up political content, because that's been the whole point the whole time, which we have been right about this whole time. It's just to fucking get the foot in the door with the nerd content, and then once you got them hooked on, you know, the wokeness and blah blah blah, then now we don't even have to worry about Star Wars. Fuck all that Star Wars shit. Let's just talk about how the liberals are trying to fucking trans your kids.
True. Well, speaking of I guess trans shit, do we want to look at a new Chud reaction from somebody we know is a Chud, but he's come out more now?
More?
Yeah. Well, I don't think
it's me, isn't it?
Well, I mean, it's everybody's favorite live action Shazam actor from the DCEU.
So pathetic, dude. He's just like on Twitter, like, do you want to do a not woke studio?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he decides to give his definition of woke, which is brilliant, by the way. A complete banger, by the way. To me, woke is indicative of any ideology that sacrifices logic, reason, rational thought, wisdom, knowledge, history, and facts on the altar of socio-political agendas. Already, I'm like,
it's a lot of words.
Yeah. Hey, at least he's trying. You know, that's more than a lot of shows.
True. For example, when we as a society start to rationalize the idea that biological sex is somehow a subjective cultural construct, which it is. Well, not biological sex, but gender is 100%.
Why do they not understand this shit? Nobody thinks that biological sex is a fucking construct, man. Like
gender is a construct,
and not a scientific
which we've said
fact.
many times.
We are doing ourselves.
Well,
also
gender is not scientific. Gender is social. So
it's completely a social cultural fucking thing. It's like, you may not like that. You may not like the idea that you know, at least argue that point. Say, I don't want it to be a social thing. I don't want it to be a cultural thing that you can change. Okay, well, then we can argue about that.
Yeah.
But like,
Bob, not to like sort of like stop you again here, but if you go back up to his first line there, to me, woke is indicative of any ideology. Yeah. So just that word, that additional word there, any ideology that sacrifices logic. Okay, so is MAGA woke? Is that a woke
actually,
ideology?
Yeah, I was just looking at this, and I think so.
Reason, rational thought,
woke.
Wisdom, knowledge, history. Like literally, that describes MAGA. So is MAGA woke?
Yes.
Yes.
According to
using
him.
Zachary Levi's definition, yes, it is.
Yes.
MAGA is like the wokest thing ever.
I also just quickly want to say, like, these people who use, you know, scientific fact and science to debunk the idea of gender being a construct, it's like they also don't understand what science is. Science is not just biology.
Right.
You know, science is built up of so many different fields.
Right.
And if you talk about scientific consensus on the topic of gender and transgender people, like
social science would say that
it is resoundingly in support of gender being a social construct, because it is. You know,
because fun fact, trans people exist no matter how much people try to spin logic into pretzels to say they don't exist. They fucking exist.
Right. It's not like a unicorn or a dragon. You know what I mean?
No.
It's, anyway, I'll let you continue, Bob, there.
The inability for many people to define what a woman is means that we are collectively losing our grasp on reality.
Wait, hold on. So before you go any further,
so I mean, he's obviously a Matt
because defining what an individual human being is not like a one sentence explanation. There are layers to an individual person, whether it be gender, sex, whatever, that is not defined easily. We all know that we exist as human beings, but then everything outside of that is very nuanced. And so when you ask what a woman is, some people would tell you their definition of a woman is how she looks. Some people might say, my definition of a woman is how she feels, like when we're connecting on an emotional level. Like you're going to get different answers. That's just reality.
Someone who's purely speaking on a biological basis would say, oh yeah, it's certain chromosomes, you know? But it's like, there's so many different definitions. And it's again, just people using science to somehow affirm their incredibly shallow views of the world.
Also, though, Turf, these are the same people that reject science. Because they don't believe in doctors and things like that. So, I mean...
They reject science in the very argument of this. Of like, as Lucifer Writing's been pointing out in chat, it's like, I asked, I think it was that one idiot that one time that came on stream and was like, he's like, well, sex and gender, they're the same thing. It's just a biological thing that, all mammals have them or whatever. And it's like, okay, so I was like, do you have a dog or a cat? And he's like, yeah, I've got a dog. And I was like, is it a man or a woman? You know? And it's like, he was, what? It's because
I also want to point out, animals also don't wear glasses. Animals also don't drive cars. Why does it matter what an animal does in comparison to what we do as a culture? That doesn't make any sense to me either.
There's also, there are some, I don't know
exactly. Do animals wear dresses? Do they put on shoes? I mean,
I know there are certain animals that switch sex.
Yes, that is true.
Like, even if we go purely on like a biological basis, if we just throw out all the social and cultural aspects of gender in general, like biology is still not completely binary. There is.
Somebody's seen Jurassic Park.
Yes. Like
now, what is it? Someone, I think you pulled up the comment here that I starred from Nothing But Media here. That says the sentence in the second paragraph basically contradicts the sentence in the first paragraph. So yeah. All right, so the woke sentence about indicative of any ideology that sacrifices logic, reason, and rational thought, wisdom, and knowledge, history, and the facts on the altar of social political agendas. Now, Bob, would you please read the second one?
We cannot start redefining words and their meanings simply to make a small portion of the population feel more validated in their subjective experience.
Bingo. So
how can you be this fucking
There's
stupid?
So much.
So you are defining what woke means to you, but then in the second paragraph you say that we can't do that. We're not supposed to take words and redefine them
to make a small portion of the population feel more validated.
Yeah. This is the epitome of like what smart-brained right-leaning people are, I guess, in the social spectrum.
Yeah.
It's like there's a whole I talked about it last night, this strain of humanity, right? That's like, I don't believe that they're inherently inferior or that they're inherently like doomed to just be idiots. It's just, I think that most of it is choice. I think a good bit of it is choice and just like lack of willingness to engage critically with their own thoughts and stuff like that. But like, it's like they're clever enough to know what these words mean generally, right?
Right.
And they can put them in a sentence, and it sounds like the sentence. And in many contexts, the sentence might make sense. In talking about other things or whatever. Like you might be able to use science in a very non-specific way, and somebody understand what you're saying. But like they're talking about very specific things that do have very specific contexts that need to be applied to them to discuss them appropriately, and they don't do that. They don't critically, kind of like break these concepts down. So it really just comes off as half thoughts to me. Like I don't know, man. It's fucking.
Yeah. It really does piss me off when people just want to simplify complex shit.
Because they're too stupid to understand the complex shit. That's the
exactly.
problem.
Like they're too stupid to understand nuance.
Well, I mean, I'll be the first to admit I'm not very scientific minded. I'm not. Doesn't come naturally to me to think about science in the ways that even some people on this panel probably can. I have to put in a little bit of extra effort, but I like to be as accurate as possible with my understanding of things, so I do put in that effort, right? And instead of just going with how it feels to say something that feels right to say that, so I'm just going to go with that. That's what they're fucking basing
it would be like me getting on here going, well, actually, the moon has a dark side, and therefore the Earth is flat, and light can't pass through rocks. Well, what the fuck does that even mean?
Yeah.
So
Like,
we're about
like,
ready to
things-
get to couples. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
Drew.
Sorry. It's just like, just based on what Dane was saying is like a person also doesn't need to be super well versed in science, or even like be able to understand this. Like that's not what I'm saying. It's more the fact that if you don't have that kind of knowledge, or if you aren't that interested in science, right? It's like you shouldn't go the opposite way and then just simplify it to yourself. If there is a part of you that just doesn't know something, then you say, okay, you know what? I don't know this. I'll leave it up to people who know it.
It is okay to say you don't know something. For example, in
absolutely.
my stream last night with Low Watermark, when they started to get into like the minutia of the immigration debate, I was like, I don't know enough about this right this moment to have this conversation. I will go look up some stuff on it, but I can't have a conversation about it at this level because I don't know it. It's nothing wrong with saying that and admitting that.
Yeah, that's the intelligent thing to do. Like if you don't know enough about something to talk about it, you shouldn't do it. It's something I've talked because I study psychology. It's something I talk to a lot of my my friends who also study it about, like, because every time you mention this towards like a friend or family, you always get met with the answer. It's like, oh, what's wrong with me? Or it's like, oh, my friend's daughter has this problem. What's your analysis of this? And it's like the right thing to do in that situation is just, I don't know. I've never talked to this person, or like this is not the situations, or I just don't know. Like that's the right thing to do. If you don't know something, you need to be able to admit that you don't know it. That's a good thing, rather than just trying to bullshit.
All right, so we're about ready to get to two sentences here that I actually agree with.
I'm going to try and let you finish without interrupting. Let me.
It's difficult.
Well, I'm going to interrupt myself a bit, but we can and should love them and want the very best for their lives. I agree.
Yeah.
They should have the freedom to live their adult lives however they see fit, so long as it's not infringing on the rights of others. Okay, so like that sentence right there debunks all the rest of this shit.
Yeah.
If this is what you believe, Zachary Levi, then why'd you write the rest of this shit? Because that's pretty much my personal philosophy.
Yeah. The thing is, the first, because I've seen this argument being used around, the whole like trans children debate, but the whole first part of everything before what he's just written has nothing to do with children,
Mm-hmm.
Like he's not doing the whole like, oh yeah, adults have the
They've moved on from that. They started out with the whole what about the children, and now we've moved on to going after people of all ages. I mean,
what I want to know is,
but then that thing he just said doesn't make sense anymore. Like you can't use that anymore because it's not about the adults; it's about trans people.
That I think we all generally agree with is like, in a vacuum, right? Like, what is the response to that part by the chuds? Because I feel like there has to be some chuds pushing back against this part, right? Like in the replies, or
I haven't looked, but
I can just imagine chuds reading this and like up until that point, they're like, "Fuck yeah, that's right, yeah, we don't lose grasp on reality. We cannot start redefining words. Hell yeah, Zachary Levi." And then like, there should be the freedom to live their adult lives however they see fit, as long as it's not. Whoa, what?
Yeah. The thing, for some reason, I still feel like there's a lot of people who they like these things because it's a way for them to defend. Like someone who's a fan of what he's saying here can then come to us and say, "You guys are calling him transphobic, but look what he said. He's all right with people living their lives." And it's a way to like, because the rest of his tweet here just completely disregards any of it. And I also do believe there's a lot of people who also.
I only hit you because I love you. Right, you make me do this to you, so I still love you. But
second paragraph is like a misapplication of anybody really that their position. Like nobody's okay. If you're saying that we're redefining words and their meaning simply to make a small portion of the population feel more validated, then why am I still a man? Why do I feel like I'm a man? I just am. You know what I mean? Like there's nothing about that has changed and how I feel about that or anything. Like if that's the case. It's just not the case, it's you don't understand the points and you're just like charging ahead. It's ridiculous.
And it's like, the thing is like sex and gender, like obviously there's been evolutions to how we understand these terms, right? But they've also been around for a while. But like, even if we had started redefining them, that's something we do with concepts, we redefine it, and we're allowed to do that because humans, we made these words. These words, they don't have any universal meaning, like, because we made them. We've made them to understand certain things that we otherwise can't understand, It's to give meaning to shit. It's to give meaning to the world. And sometimes we find out, you know what, our understanding is not correct, and then we
This is
redefine
true.
things.
Men are not
change it.
women. We agree with that, man. We fucking agree.
No,
That's
I
true.
just banned him, so we're not going to get any more
Okay.
from him. But, anyways, but that should never include turning our backs on objective truth to do so. So, Zachary Levi, I'm going to hit you with some objective truth right now. Trans people exist. That's an objective truth.
That is
they
an
are
absolute
just
objective
living their lives without infringing on the lives of others.
His next sentence is so baffling. The next one right after that. It's so fucking...
Well, I would argue it's a contradiction. We can both love and support them. Yeah, you should. And hold firm to what we know as fact. These concepts.
So you mean
not
love and support them, right?
Yeah.
How do you support them if you think that it's not fact?
Them.
That's also going against what he said at the top of the fucking first paragraph.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a contradiction for the support word.
This sounds to me like, please don't cancel me. I've got these opinions, but I don't want you to get mad at me. So.
Like
listen, man, I'm going
the first
Chud.
2 words
I'm really
of this whole thing are, to me, subjectivity. You know, to me, woke means this.
Yeah.
And then he goes on to talk about objective fucking shit. It's like, it's nonsense.
It's just pathetic, and it's weaselly.
No, it reads like, hey, I'm going to go pretty Chud, guys. But I don't want to go 100% Chud in case Harold and the Purple Crayon 2 gets greenlit.
I still kind of
want
want
to leave myself a little exit here in case maybe they want me back for Shazam. I got some
I think
objective
he's
fucking
burning
truth for
bridges
Zachary Levi
nicely
too.
on that one.
I got some objective truth for him. If the reports are true that you actually thought that Shazam was going to make you as big a name as fucking Chris Evans as Captain America, you're a fucking moron. There you go. I hate to say it, but
I mean, he did think that. That was
I know,
what he thought.
and that's
I know
stupid.
that came
Why
out,
would
and
you
it's
think
like,
that?
dude.
Bro's an objective fact sayer. The whole like we can both love and support them, and then also like hold firm to what we know is fact. It just like we said,
that's not supporting them. Yeah,
it's mind-boggling. It like this is basically saying you're not valid. Your whole identity and person is not real. You're a fake person, but I love you. What? That doesn't make any fucking sense. This is just a really fucking cowardly post of someone trying to, I don't know, to affirm a certain fan base, but then also not really having the fucking balls to do that. Like, just go out there and say you're transphobic.
Well, I think that's post is him saying he's transphobic.
Yeah.
Anybody
just,
who's paying attention.
Have some fucking balls and say it.
It's like this, it's a really condescending fucking thing to be like, you know, we should love and support them and hold firm to what we know is a fact. It's kind of like saying, you poor thing, you think that you're something you're not. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
Like pat you on the head.
Like, and I don't have respect for either of these two groups, right? But it's like I almost have more respect for people who are just downright transphobic. And I've said this before.
Oh,
with
no.
like people who are grifters and are like bigoted through their grifting, where I'm like, where we've had the debate before of like, do you think they're actually bigoted or do they just put up a front? It's like, I don't care. That to me is worse than an actual bigoted person. An actual bigoted person can kind of be reached, you know. Sometimes
No kid is born with a gender. No kids are born with gender. That's so you've got a just complete misunderstanding of the concept.
Gender is taught, man.
Gender is assigned and taught. It's so the no kids are born with it. So you get a better understanding of things before you ask a question.
And also, like, if kids get a sense of their own identity and also gender identity pretty fucking young. It's not something like they're born with, but it's once they start creating an identity, which starts to happen pretty young, and it evolves.
Well, it actually starts before they're born. Gender reveal parties are
true. Yeah,
the first indoctrination into gender identity. So
exactly. But even like a child's own like understanding of their own identity starts also from very young. And I don't think we should get into, because it's a long discussion of like you know of children being transgender, which absolutely happens, you know. And to the people who are like, oh, that shouldn't happen. No surgeries is happening with an 8-year-old, you know, like that's never going to happen. In those cases, we're talking about more social transitioning, if that's the case. But yeah, that's
Well, these same people that say that trans kids don't exist also say they're okay with social transitioning before 18.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
So you are okay. You do understand that trans kids exist. You just
You do
don't
know
want
they
them
do, yeah.
to get the kind of care that you don't want them to have, even though they're not
Exactly.
your kids, and you're not their parents,
Why-
and you're
And
not
you
their
also don't-
doctors.
And you also don't want them to get the surgeries that they already aren't having.
Right. Right.
Listen,
Right.
I will go ahead and say I like the 2 Shazam movies that Zachary Levi was in. And I think this post is actually helpful because now I am 100% cool with them recasting him for the new universe. Sounds
Yeah.
great to me. Let's do it.
Hell yeah.
I love how he says these concepts are not mutually exclusive. They absolutely are. You can't support something that you don't believe in. That doesn't make any sense
Yeah.
whatsoever.
Yeah.
Like that's you have to believe in something to support it. Otherwise, why would you not? Why would you support it? Let me support all these things that I don't think exist because I want to love and care for them. Like it
Yeah.
doesn't make any fucking sense.
You can't support them and then not actually acknowledge who they are. It's
No.
the opposite of that.
Especially because supporting them involves like acknowledging who they are, you know?
Right. It's always a contradiction with these guys, and
Yeah.
the goalposts keep getting moved, and
Yep.
Okay, I mean, we can go over some of these comments. This is probably partially because of my Twitter is a little bit. I have to deal with a lot of.
I do
people,
want to
so
point out
there's
that
been a
Twitter
block
is
and
now
stuff,
out of the
but
top
yeah.
25 downloads in the Apple Store,
Oh,
and
nice.
Blue Sky is number 1. So
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm
Awesome.
I'm surprised. I'm already getting some reactions on Blue Sky when I've started posting there. So it's like, okay, I might move over there. But yeah, so far the top few posts are just people blazing him, which is quite nice.
fuck you, dude. Oh, that's cool. Mark Hughes. Look at that.
Hey, is that Mark Hughes? Our Mark Hughes? Is
Yeah,
that
the
part of
one
I,
part of the
I don't
initiative?
think it's
Yeah.
our Mark Hughes.
Oh.
'Cause-
Oh, it's
no,
not.
it is our Mark Hughes. Never
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah,
Oh,
he's
part
the
of
member
The
of
one
the
that's part of
initiative.
the initiative, according to Mahler's
Yeah,
subreddit.
apparently, yeah.
The 5th member who never shows
Yeah.
up.
You're either really
was in
wait,
one
hold on, you're
episode.
either really this stupid and crazy, or really this dishonest and willing to contribute to rotting the brains of people who believe in such bigoted nonsense. I mean, just straight to the point.
Yeah.
Nobody
Well
is
done,
reading
Mark.
all that. Oh God, I feel bad. We did, Nick. I'm sorry. We read all
Oh,
of
God.
that.
Which is disproven.
Look, Peter Skrelly says, Skreda says, "Please stop.
Please
I thought
stop.
we were. Please stop. I can't believe we thought you were
Yeah.
a good dude. We cannot start redefining words." Proceeds to make his own definition of woke and then be offended by it.
I wish I was able to clap back at someone the way that
I
some
won't be
people on
careful
Twitter.
because there can be anything on Twitter, but
Oh yeah, be
Yeah.
very careful. I like during my streams, I literally have several tabs open, so I don't
Yeah.
do that. So
I mean, before the
Never-
election, I found literally a full length or at least a half-hour documentary that's just promoting Nazi shit on Twitter in the replies and
nice,
stuff.
nice. Mhm.
Yeah.
yeah, cool. So
At
Travis
least in
here.
my part of
Oh,
Twitter,
sorry, go
he's
ahead.
getting blazed for that.
Tra-
Go ahead.
Travis's comment here. So my stance on all of these issues it's very simple. Anything medical that applies to you, your child, or anyone in your family that you're caring for should be between you, that person, and the healthcare provider. And that's
Yes.
it.
Yep.
And if there's
absolutely.
any crazy shit going on that you need help with legally, then you can go to your lawyer and sue them if they do something fucked up. But I don't think we should be debating what other people do with their healthcare. I think that's really stupid.
Well, it's
And
like
that's
I was
really what it
that's the
comes
argument
down
I was
for me.
making to with Low Watermark last night. Is like, it's weird that people, they fixate on the trans issue and like, well, like Vito one time, I ended up in a debate with
Yeah.
him. It was just me and Bob and him on a recording, but he was like, well, it's just I worry about, if somebody transitions that, and he's not just talking about kids, he's talking about anybody that thinks they might be trans. And they transition and the surgery's not, turns out that's not what they needed and they have to detransition. It's like, okay, that's, if that happens, and I'm sure it does, it's, to diminishing degrees, it sucks. However, I use the example of the shoulder surgery that I still should probably get because I have a pinched nerve in my shoulder. But like, if I get it, I've looked at the risks. There's a chance that if they fuck it up just slightly, I could like have a way worse arm than I do now. Like my left arm could be maybe useless almost.
Mhm.
Right now, it's probably about 50% what it should be, 60%. It could go down to 20% if they fuck it up. Or the surgery goes really well and I get it back to like 90, 95% or whatever. But, those surgeries happen all the time. People get fucked up surgeries. Things happen, go wrong. But people aren't making YouTube careers out of fucking talking about the people that got those surgeries
No.
You know what I mean? They're not.
I don't see some big social movement against circumcision. I've talked about this before.
Yeah.
Circumcision happens.
And maybe
at
there should be. And maybe.
But my point is, though, that we're okay with that as a society. That's
That's what I
absolutely
said
fine.
about Eric July using mutilating children.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, okay, well then where are you at on circumcision, dude? I've never heard you mention
They
this shit.
always go, well, that's not a real argument. It is a real argument. It happens to babies.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It happened to me, motherfucker. I'm telling you. My dick got chopped up before I had any say-so in the
And
matter.
I think last time I looked, I guess it was a couple years ago when I looked it up, there's a massive regret rate. I think it's like 10 to 15% of men that have had it done wish that they would have had a choice on whether or not they had it done.
I mean, I wish I had a choice, but honestly, I would have chosen to have it done because I like the way it is. But you know,
well,
it's still,
yeah, but I mean, but their argument is that the stuff is being done to kids against their will, and that's literally that's what circumcision is.
Yeah. Yeah, like isn't like
so it is
affirming
10%, Scott. Right, I was right. It is 10%. I knew it was between 10 and 15%.
Like gender affirming surgeries have a way lower regret rate than like any other cosmetic surgery.
This didn't happen. This didn't fucking happen, man. You're fucking stupid.
Wait, hold on. What mill?
That is right-wing propaganda.
We're talking about Imani, the
Iman
the
Khalif,
boxer. Yeah.
The biological woman,
right?
Who won the gold medal?
Not even
in
trans.
boxing.
Not even trans woman.
Like, wouldn't have been a problem if she was trans, but
if you want to talk about like people that have too much of a certain hormone, or what a regulatory body decides is too much of a certain hormone, then we can do that. We can break down sports that way. That's fine. I think. I mean, I think it'll be more tedious than anything else, but
I mean, I'm sure there are a lot of hormonal reasons why Usain Bolt was such a fucking.
I mean, do you want to know? I looked
and Michael Phelps and all those people. Yeah,
I looked it up online when all this was going on, and the reason why they don't use hormones as like a metric is because not everybody has that same level. It's different for people for a lot of reasons. And years ago, you might have had a woman competing against another woman that has higher levels of testosterone just naturally. And what are you going to do? Tell her she can't compete because of that? I mean, well, David says old fake news. Why are we going back to that? Like, why is that even a comment?
I remember the worst thing about that was that I saw so many people on Twitter, even like YouTubers. It was like I remember I saw Jake Paul getting really fucking angry about it, and then I saw no one mention it after a couple of days when it was revealed Iman Khalif is not trans. It was just silence, They just mention this thing. They say, "Oh, think about the women. Their women are losing rights over this, and then their sports is being taken away from them." And then fucking nothing. This
is what I think is the case with a lot of them, is that they just don't know what really happens, and then whenever they hear something different, they just think that it's somebody lying to them. And like, I mean, I'd say that probably what does happen at very rare examples is like maybe a teenager, getting mastectomy or whatever like that happened. I don't know what the rate is, but I know it's not the first thing that they go to. I know it's not the third thing that they go to. I know that it's in rare examples where, like, you know what I mean, where that's happened. And I think the numbers are so, infinitesimally small that it's bizarre to focus on it. And like, if there are examples here and there of something that shouldn't, that's like, oh, that's really fucked up, and most people would agree it's fucked up, then let's address those rare examples instead of treating it as if this fucking plague that's going on, when it's not.
The thing is, there's also like cis teens getting the same surgery, for not trans reasons, but for example, if their breasts are too large.
I want to reiterate what I said. My only opinion on this will always be it is none of my fucking business. You know what I mean? Like whatever somebody wants to get done surgery wise is between them and their doctor. And if a child or someone who has a guardian wants to get something done, it is between that person, their guardian, and the doctor. If you feel like someone has been forced to do something, but then by all means follow that up in whatever way you feel you're comfortable with. But let's stop pretending that there's some epidemic of this happening. It's ridiculous. It's just a ridiculous discussion for these guys to have.
Yeah. It's also just annoying that so many people who have no fucking clue about any of these like medical procedures or just like fucking medicine in general, like they don't know anything about it. Like, why? So many people who aren't educated about any of these topics that they feel the need or the right to be able to say how it's supposed to be done, like that they know better than doctors,
This
who've
doesn't
studied
happen,
this
you
their whole
fucking
lives.
moron. There's no 14-year-olds going to the teachers and then the teacher saying, "Yeah, you're the other gender. Now let's go get your genitals cut." You
Yeah, I mean
fucking
that's
idiot.
again,
Get the fuck outta here,
just
dude.
that's not happening. It's schools do not provide sex change surgery, sexual reassignment surgery, sex affirming surgeries. They don't provide any of that.
Did your school nurse not have the procedures?
Yeah,
just
my school nurse
the
just had some
hell?
scissors, whipped them out every once in a while.
It's like,
clip.
you have a headache. Here's some hormone blockers. Like no, this shit doesn't happen. And if your child goes to their teacher to talk about them being trans, that means you fucked up as a parent, that they don't feel comfortable going to you with it. There's a problem with you.
I think that there's some inspectors for my apartments here, so I might be a minute, but I'll be back.
Okay, no worries.
No, I do find
Sean's
it absolutely.
comment about Zachary Levi. It's understandable that he feels uncertain about societal shifts, especially when complex ideas evolve and challenge traditional perspectives. I think that is about Zachary Levi. It has to be.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Yeah.
I want to say this: if your immediate reaction to a change in society due to ignorance bothers you, the first thing you should do, or you shouldn't do, is be like, let's ban all of it and oppress all these people. That shouldn't be the first thing you do.
No.
And if that's your reaction to it, then you're perpetuating negative stereotypes and stigma around marginalized communities.
People like that are always on the losing side of history.
Sorry, you're stupid. I mean, that doesn't give you the right to oppress people.
I mean, I have.
I wish that was a more common thought.
I do think it's interesting how it seems like lots of right-wing people seem really interested in trans people, and it's almost like part of me is like, go talk to one, but of course, like, people aren't going to want to come out to them because
something Low Watermark said, you talked about it a second ago about like knowing trans people or whatever.
Yeah.
I think there is a difference in what they see and read online versus actually being open to hearing a trans person talk about their experiences. And I think that's where that disconnect happens. I'm not justifying the way they treat trans people. I'm saying I think that's why they have such confusion about it. But again, that's not trans people's responsibility. Like, that's not their responsibility to teach every cisgender person who doesn't know trans people about their community. Like, that should be something that they would want to reach out for. And
a good example that I actually learned from DJ's video, Steve-O, from Jackass. He was just like, he was going to do this prank where he like pretty much made his body look like a woman, where he's wearing.
He was going to go get like injections to give himself boobs or something,
and then he talked to a trans person and canceled the whole prank because just getting their perspective was enough to inform him. That type of thing can be really helpful to people.
Well, I mean, the thing about it is that
response,
well, he also made public responses about it, did interviews where he talked about his reason for doing it. And of course, a lot of chuds came down on him. It's like, why are you coming down on him? He made the decision himself. Yeah. This was his own personal decision. Why would you be mad that it wasn't like he was threatened to be canceled? He literally came to this conclusion himself.
Yeah. It was something he was planning to do, and he said, "You know what? Maybe let's talk to somebody."
He talked to one trans person.
Yeah.
Apparently, he talked to one trans person. That person was able to talk to him about their concerns, and he changed his mind. There was no cancel mob. There was no group trying to twist his arm or whatever. He literally just talked to a person, and changed his mind about it.
And listen, the Jackass guys can get pretty edgy. I don't think they're transphobic or anything. I think they just, they like do things that push the norm, and that was just something he decided, I'm not comfortable doing that.
Right. Well, because I think once he realized that it wasn't funny is when he was like, well, it's no point in doing it. It's not funny because it's going to target trans people. If I go pretending to be a trans person in an extremely conservative, macho environment, it's just going to make those people commit those types of acts onto trans people if they come into their space. And that was why he decided to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
And I'm not saying I'm a fan of Steve-O or Jackass. I just give him a little bit of credit for, changing his mind about something that could have been potentially harmful.
I mean, I'll be honest. I saw the first movie. I thought it was pretty funny, but yeah.
They have their moments. I used to love Jackass when I was younger, but I've kind of not.
It was been into all the rage in the dorms when I was in college.
I mean, MTV pretty much modeled an entire genre of TV around Jackass. So
unfortunately, yes. It's like, guys, it's a funny gimmick, but don't keep doing it.
Did you get your channel fixed, Bob, by the way?
Well, I mean, I don't see anything wrong with my channel. I think it was just communication issue between StreamYard and my channel.
So, Sean, I read what you said, and I understand where you're coming from, but I have a very clear concept of what I consider to be a problem, and that is material harm. Does X X and Y lead to material harm or does it not? If somebody's actions are just their own actions and it's just a dumb person saying stuff that's not going to mean anything, they're welcome to be stupid as they want. But if somebody with a lot of influence and sway and has a platform purposely says stuff that could potentially hurt people, and there is a high risk of material damage, this sounds like maybe a little disingenuous, maybe, or maybe a little dismissive, probably is a better word. I don't care why they feel that way, because at the end of the day, they're using their platform in a way that could potentially hurt people. And so if that is going to be the outcome for something, I don't care if they genuinely mean it or if they're just saying it for money or if they're repeating something that somebody heard. There's a level of responsibility that comes with great power comes great responsibility.
We should write that down.
Yeah,
we should make that our tag.
Cool. We should make that for a superhero. I think.
So yeah. I don't mean to be dismissive about it, but I've kind of got a few hardline opinions on how I feel about things, like when it comes to medical stuff.
Sorry if you guys hear a fire alarm go off. I'll mute it real quick if that happens because they're testing that shit right now. But like, Bob, you should be back up on your channel. Nope, there it is again.
No, it's giving me another warning. Oh, did you put it back up?
Yeah, and then it seemed like it was okay.
Yeah, we'll just leave it up. If I feel like it, I'll just re-upload it later.
All right. I mean, what I was going to say about speaking to the Steve-O thing is like, I don't give a shit about Jackass generally, but Steve-O, I know for a fact, has come a long fucking way from somebody who used to be, he's an addict, like a recovered addict, but like, I mean, he was a really bad addict, you know what I mean? And like, there's a story of like Johnny Knoxville basically coming to his house and fucking dragging him out of his house and taking him to rehab and saving his life.
Yeah. They made fun of him for getting sober. I don't know if you saw that. They were making fun of him for getting sober.
I did not see that.
That's pretty shitty.
Hold on one second.
Yeah, a lot of people in the Chud space were like mocking him because they're like, sobriety is weak and all this other bullshit. And I'm like, oh God, really?
Dude, like breaking a habit like that is something I've never had to deal with, fortunately. But
this is why I don't take these guys seriously. Like 90% of the time is they just say dumb stuff. Sobriety is weak. Like, are you serious? Like, aren't you the same people that argue that common sense gun reform has to deal with people that have mental health issues, but somehow sobriety is weak? So you don't believe in mental health when it means something, and then when it doesn't mean anything, you want to like dismiss it. It's so stupid.
The sad reality about all of this is that people are just stupid, and it's really, really fucking hard to do anything about that.
They're gonna find out real quick. I think a lot of these people that were stupid and they voted because they're stupid a certain way, we're all gonna suffer for a minute. It's gonna be rough. But the good thing is, again, his cabinet is like in Applebee's restaurants, so the wait staff is going to change quite often. So we'll a few months afterwards, we'll end up with somebody else, and maybe they'll have a better idea.
That is insulting. Applebee's restaurants have way better turnover. It's not remotely as bad.
That's true. No, I've worked in nightclubs, and I always think of it like his cabinet. People are there for like 7 months, and then they just disappear, and the next person just kind of shows up. So, yeah, Matt Gates for AG. I will say this is funny. A lot of the I've seen at least 2 or 3 of the guys who supported Trump that are, I guess you would consider like minority Republican supporters. I think Tim Scott, I think he's one of the guys they mentioned that kind of went all in on Trump, is not being given anything for doing it, and they're just like, was it worth it for you to support someone that doesn't give a shit about you, which we've been saying he doesn't care about anybody.
I mean, fun fact, Trump doesn't give a shit about anybody except for possibly if you can do something for him. That's it.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's
there's also like a lot of people, I think, especially also younger people, I think, are also probably also older, are voting based just on like vibes of a person.
100%. I saw a lot of that. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I remember, and obviously this is not in America, but like I know a couple people from my work who were like here in Denmark who were like, oh, are you guys seeing like who, if you were in America, who would you vote for? And some of them were like Trump, and then I was asking them like why, and they're like, oh, I saw edits of him on TikTok, and he just like he's cooler than Kamala Harris, and just, like that's what, and I also think a lot of people in America are voting based on stuff like that. It has nothing to do with like, oh, what are they going to do? It's just, oh,
he swayed to Ave Maria for 45 minutes. What a badass.
I mean, there's
presence.
some of these comments from people who were basically undecided voters. I was reading these over here. I voted for Donald. This is Pierce, 26 from North Carolina, white man, says, I voted for Donald Trump. I decided after Kamala went on Call Her Daddy. So that was his deciding thing that because she went on a certain podcast, he decided to vote for Trump.
Okay.
The other one here is from Lillian, 27, white woman, says that I voted for Trump and made that decision the same day the mainstream media was having a meltdown after the Madison Square Garden rally. You mean the Nazi rally?
Yeah, it was a Nazi rally. That was a disgusting rally.
I also saw an ad from Democrats about abortion misinformation that really made me upset. I said, you know what? I'm going to vote for Trump because everyone hates him. So that's a
great fucking reason.
Jack, 22 from New York, white, says, I wrote in for Mike Bloomberg. I don't like either at top of the ticket. So basically you just were like, I don't give a fuck. I'm privileged enough that it doesn't matter to me who gets elected.
Yeah, that's what
McLean, 25, white woman, says, I shocked myself and voted for Trump. No one tell my family. I was so impressed by J.D. Vance, the way he carries himself and how normal he appeared. I think I became radicalized on the men and women's sports issue. The ad said, Kamala represents they, them. Trump represents you. And that was so compelling. While I think Trump is deranged, he represents normalcy to me.
How are these people?
He's deranged and what? Oh my God, these people exist.
Here we go. Laura, 20, white from Maryland. I was looking for this. These are all people that didn't vote in 2020, by the way. That's the thing, is they were all interviewed by the New York Times, I believe. I was looking for a candidate that I felt I could trust. A key moment that stuck out to me was the SNL skit that Harris did, where she essentially made fun of herself, which should be relatable, according to some of these people. But all her focus was going on entertainment industries and avoiding interviews, which she didn't. She did a ton of interviews.
No.
That came off to me as very phony. And then the last one here,
the billionaire instead.
Oh wait, what about Trump dodging debates and dodging the 60 Minutes interview? Oh my God.
I actually think that these replies do sort of put a nail in the coffin of misinformation and disinformation, because what's happening is people are getting fed this stuff by social media, and that's why they're choosing with these weird. So the last one here,
that's true. Yes, because he's more trustworthy.
Yeah.
So the thing that really set it off for me was when, this is Lillian, it's another Lillian, it's a different person, 27, white woman. The thing that really set it off for me was when Biden called half the country garbage, and then the White House moved to change the record officially. That really bothered me. That made me really want to rally against them. But having someone at Trump's rally call Puerto Rican people garbage, calling the island of Puerto Rico garbage dump, that wasn't a problem. Biden's not running for office. It was Trump and Harris. So regardless of what Biden said, that wasn't reflective of who was running for office at the time. He's an incumbent that's not running. So why would that matter for you voting against someone else? Like, he's not the person running.
I also cannot think about that person who said that they liked that J.D. Vance seemed like a normal person. I can't imagine thinking that compared to like Tim Walz.
He's just your standard couch fucker, like everyone else.
Of course.
No, I think it's something that really kind of needs to be addressed. And I haven't seen anybody else talk about this, but like the obvious massive right wing freaking, you can call it grift, you can call it misinformation, but just this massive right wing bubble that kind of MAGA is in, that includes all this stuff. You know, toxic fandom, MAGA. Well, I already said MAGA, but you know, the self-help bullshit like Andrew Tate, QAnon. Hell, there's so much of this right-wing misinformation. It's all like this bubble, and nobody I've seen, pretty much outside of us, has ever seemed to really address that. Or
we did a string like over a year ago that was like all of the grift that's on the right, like just how much of it is just grift. You know.
It's all
I don't want to point fingers at specific people. I think that's a little reductive right now. I think the people on the left are sort of so yeah, exactly. People on the left though, but one of the things I think we do have to, like, we know this, we understand this, but I think in terms of like left alt media, which would be like podcasting or live streams, things like that, is the right did a really good job. If you look at the top podcasts in the country, sometimes in the world, they did a really good job of positioning their let's talk for 3 hours about pedantic shit and smoke weed and drink alcohol and all this other shit for 3 hours, and pulled in that group and convinced them to vote against Democrats. And they did a good job of it. And we don't have an answer for that. Like the, like the left
we
doesn't
just
really
have
have
to
an answer
do
for
basically
that.
what, because the reason is, and we've been talking about this in our server and at various places lately, and like it's exactly what you just described is how they did it. Because whereas we're over here saying these are the transgender issues, like these are the facts about transgender people, these are the facts about this, and this is what why you're wrong about, we're correcting people, because to us just being direct about these issues is the most efficient and really moral thing to do. Right. But like what they're doing is like you described, they're just sitting around, they're smoking weed, they're talking about space and, various other random crap. And then, oh yeah, and what about these people, these kids that are identifying as kittens or whatever the fuck, you know what I mean? They're like slipping that shit in there, and like how weird that is amongst while they're talking about, MMA bullshit or whatever the fuck. I mean, and it's like
the equivalent would be like if we did a stream where we specifically mixed ridiculous cryptozoology topics with heavy political topics, and then made it seem like the insidious nature of these cryptids somehow ties in with the Republican Party. And that's what we talked about for like 3 hours. We sat here, we got really stupid about it. We ask questions. We don't make statements. What if JD Vance actually fucked the couch? Did he come in it?
I mean, we
Did
don't
he
have
come in
any
the
evidence
couch?
that he didn't fuck the couch.
Did he use a condom? Did JD Vance have a vibrator in his ass when he fucked the couch?
And the answer is yes.
What color was the couch? Was it a white couch or a black couch? That's a really important question.
I mean, we got to be talking about these interracial couch fucking situations.
Look, that's the thing is, I am literally doing this as a joke, but that is literally the equivalent of what they do on their podcast.
Yes.
Yeah.
We should start doing that.
I mean, let's face it. There's probably more truth in the couch fucking than there is in to Tatiana Maslany and Ryan Reynolds in a lawsuit with each other.
The reality is conversations like that. The reality is conversations like that would bring in a lot more viewership. They would bring in a lot more people because people would come in. They would drop emotes. They would joke about it. There would be memes about it. It would be massive. It would be huge. We don't have anything like that because most of us, let's be honest, most of us are too intelligent to want to have those kinds of conversations.
Yeah,
but the problem is.
I'm held back by this thing called ethics and morality.
Right. But honestly, that's our weakness. I mean, we have it, but that's what they're going to keep doing. They're going to keep targeting that as a weakness for us. And we don't have a good answer for that.
I dated this stupid girl one time, man. And like, I hate to say it, but like she was dumb. She's really cute, but she was dumb as shit.
I know that.
And like, I would be trying to talk to her about something that like, to me is not even like a really, super involved conversation, but like something about, I don't know, the climate or oh man, we got to do something about how we spend all this money on foreign intervention and wars and stuff, and it's like all this money that goes towards global fucking colonialist bullshit, and and I wouldn't, it's not like I'm getting super in details about it because I don't know the details. I just know that there's off the top of my head I know that there's a problem, and then she would be like, why do we have to talk about this heavy stuff all the time? And I'm just like, what? Like that's not even that. Like, and that's what I think that's the mentality. I think a lot of these people fucking operate from.
We're gonna. I'm gonna try this on my channel. Okay, just for shits and giggles. I'm gonna start a new podcast where I'm gonna talk about the dumbest possible shit when it comes to Republicans, and that is going to be the topic every single week. Is just dumb shit that doesn't even matter because I want to prove a point. I just want to prove a point. I want to see if people will come in to listen to me talk about JD Vance and how he probably has a beard because his chin is too tiny. And when he tries to eat his wife out, he needs a little extra padding on it. You know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff. I'll be honest.
There's been some times when I felt like we had a really lame ass show. And at the end, people are like, that was a really good show. So no, not to throw anybody out of but I'm just like,
I'm just saying, like, I can be that guy because I can totally do it. The problem is that I've always been the person kind of putting my foot in to see where the waters are. Yeah. There's no answer to that on our side because we do truly feel internally that we are above that kind of stuff, that kind of potty humor for the most part. And every time we see somebody,
I don't feel I'm above potty humor.
I am sometimes. Look, I am sometimes. But like we see people like a good example. Okay, so who would you consider a leftist podcaster that is even close to the equivalent of like the big right wing podcasters? Like, is there someone that jumps out in your mind?
I mean, I'm not in size, but like I've definitely been enjoying the Anthony Jeselnik stuff lately. His podcast. Have you seen any of those clips that I've been showing?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, good shit.
Would you say like someone along the lines of, I even hate to say this because they're not really left leaning, but someone like Destiny? Would Destiny be considered a big like sort of alt right or alt leftist? Like,
I mean, he is big,
podcaster?
and he's kind of technically he is on the left, but not necessarily leftist.
He's
but,
like center left, basically. On most
Yeah,
issues,
he's very.
What about Hassan Piker? Would you consider him to be like a?
He's kind of exactly that, because every time I've watched one of his clips or streams, I'm like, he seems like he doesn't really talk much about things. He just kind of reacts to shit.
Yeah.
And
well, I mean, that's what happens when you stream for 13 hours a day.
He's also very much like within the whole culture of like the streamers, you know, like he hangs out with
but the level of production is what gets them. It's the same thing with Nerdrotic. It's the same thing with Critical Drinker. Same thing with like that fan base. There's a level of production, like you see with the Matt Walshes, the Ben Shapiros, the Tucker Carlsons. There's a level of production they're willing to put in to legitimize themselves as actual entertainment spaces. And I don't think a lot of people are putting in the work for that, because to be honest, the grift on the right is much stronger. There's way more money in that than there is.
Well, there's the money help. Yeah.
Renegade Cut has a video about how all those shows, all those podcasters, those guys you just mentioned, they all have the same set, where it's like a brick wall or in some neon lights or something, just like very man cave looking shit.
Yeah.
You know, but like do it the exact same. You know, and it's like just the kind of like generalized idea of what a man cave should look like or something, basically. You know, whereas you know, we try to express ourselves. Like what Bob's got going on behind him. He's what is that picture that's really small back there, Bob? I don't see it.
I can't really get her in frame. I can't get her in frame. There she goes.
Oh my god.
Melanie Mack behind me.
It's for the best.
You know, so.
Yeah, she strikes me as somebody who's very strong and muscular. Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
I do have to get going now.
Yeah, me too. I was looking at the clock.
Fuck off.
We both got to head out. See, it's a coordinated thing. Like Jeff and I are like, we
Well,
cannot stay more.
First, we nuked Bob's channel, and now we're getting out of here.
Oh, what do you want to show, Dane?
Well, I have a 7-minute clip that's from the Neil Brennan podcast. I don't know if you guys know who he is, but he does a podcast, and he's a comedian, writer, and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been really trying to explore comedians that are not in this Rogan chud space, right? And trying to figure out. So, like, just for example, here's this one from Jeselnik.
Well, one second though, I do want to address Sam Cedar. Sam Cedar is not like a podcast bro. He's like it's like a news thing with him and Emma.
It's more.
Podcast bros.
He
are
is
more
awesome,
like the guy.
but
I like Sam Cedar's like the stuff they cover. I like it, but he's more along the lines of presenting the news like an old school news format. I'm talking more like the guys that spend 90% of the time talking about whether or not Bigfoot is real and if they're sending signals down from space, mixing it with politics and something like that.
Though I do think, like, if you want to look at the difference, the dark money difference, you can clearly see it when you look at somebody like Sam Cedar and compare it to Tim Pool. The fact is,
they talked about it on his podcast. Yeah,
way
like how much the difference
more production. Sam
Cedar no, he talked about that. Tim Pool is making like millions of dollars, and Sam Cedar's like we're some months we don't even make 100,000. He's got like a massive platform.
Yeah, he's got crew and stuff. Yeah. They're comparable in size, but yeah, Sam.
Well, I mean, I wonder if Sam Cedar's tried to talk to Russia about that, or if maybe there's some funds you could get in on that.
Well, you know, Sam Cedar has the same thing that holds us back. The thing I think ethic.
Yes, definitely. But Sam Cedar's also he's not big on pop culture, so he doesn't know a lot of the current pop culture stuff.
Yeah, he literally whenever Tim Pool brings up Thanos, he's like, I don't care.
I love that. He's like,
no, here's just real quick because this is relevant.
Well, I think Turf, are you staying for this or are you leaving?
Oh, I do have to leave.
I'll stay a little bit for this. Yeah, I'll stay.
I'll
me through the daughter transitioning thing and what. Because I've never really heard anyone. I know you talk about it in the specials that I haven't watched yet.
No,
good grief.
That's
you don't
not
talk about it.
That's not in that one. That's actually the one I'm working on right now.
I'm curious as to because the thing that my feeling about trans people in general is it's wrong. No, I'm kidding. My feeling about trans people is it's hard. It's a very hard thing for them to go through. And I wonder what it's like for you, and beyond like the cultural norms and the masculine stereotypes and all that shit. Is it what was it? What are the phases for you as a parent?
I learned that acceptance is everything, right? Yeah. And that, you know, when you're presented with certain things, it's not about the person, right? It's about you. Everything is always for you. Why are you feeling this way? You need to break ego. You need to break the fact that you think you can control things. This is part of your problem. This is why you're depressed.
God damn, he's spitting some fucking wisdom already, man. Like,
Marlon.
I love Marlon. I've always loved
I didn't know he was
Marlon.
like this, man. Like, holy shit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've
he's
noticed
like,
him recently
Yeah.
really calling out the chuds because they,
Yeah. Well, I mean, I saw that it was announced they were going to be doing the next scary movie again or whatever, and I was like,
and
now
him and
I'm
his
all
brother,
like, fuck yeah,
him and his brother are
fucking-
doing it. Yeah.
I'm sporting that shit.
You have anxiety because you are trying to control and steer the ship when it's not in your control. And you're going to have to learn to lie back and trust God. And if you hit the ground, you're going to hit the ground. But if not, shut up and fall backward.
Trust God except for death. Once death is there,
I'm sleeping though.
You got to question God.
I'm sleeping.
My
there was
question,
a point I didn't. Now I'm sleeping. I'm like, fuck that.
As far as the religious, as far as the
so I'm
religious
much
stuff,
better now.
With him, I don't necessarily agree with that aspect of it, but I do understand like the idea of sitting back and kind of letting things unfold when you don't have control.
Well, I mean,
I've gotten to where I can listen to somebody talk about God in a general sense, and even though I don't believe in the same thing that they're probably talking about, I can kind of relate it to my own
if we're talking about like a
experience.
metaphysical like concept, yeah.
Well, it helps that also, like, there's been more Christians speaking out against a lot of the stuff that the people who claim to be firm Christians say and do. People who actually listen to the words of Jesus Christ and think those are things to live by.
Wait,
those
what?
are the type of
Actually
Christians I
listen
can
to
get
the things
behind.
No, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I don't want to.
Yeah,
I don't want
remember-
to keep you with this, DJ. If you got to go, but like, I did want to point out that the one thing I want to do with the Shillcast, and like, I mean, basically any stream I do from now on, in the time being anyway, is like point people to some resources, man, because there's a need for them. And like, so I've got a few things pulled up right here, real quick.
Let's do it.
Here is this is the right righttobee.org, and there's this free training you can get that is like how to kind of like intervene without escalating in like some type of often it'll be like an employment conflict type situation or harassment type situation, just basically anything. And these are free trainings that you can get. Okay. So generative conflict training kind of thing, and bystander stuff, and like, hold on.
What happened?
Yes.
Sorry, my Alexa was talking.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So there's that, and I will drop the link to that in the chat in a second. Then there's also 7 steps for transgender people preparing for federal crackdowns under Trump. This is a pretty dark one to have to offer, but it's worth taking a look at to see if especially if you're obviously in a state that is already hostile to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And then here's just like 10 free ebooks for getting free. So this is like, through Haymarket, they provide some pretty awesome free books that you can just download these books for fucking free, man. And these are, just generally about history of, liberation of various communities, Black communities, socialism, stuff like that. Just worth reading to kind of like get outside of the ideas that we're often kind of constrained within in American culture. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, these are all
There's
great.
those.
But yeah, I mean, like I did my video talking about it. That's one of the reasons why the low watermark conversation happened with me in the first place, was I made that video and it got a lot of interesting responses from people that I had streamed with before. People that had no problem with me before, but the minute I start offering up resources for my community, then all of a sudden it's like I'm not supposed to say anything. I'm supposed to be quiet.
That is very weird. Yeah, that should just be a thing that
calling that a radical stance. calling my video a radical stance.
Oh,
when
that
I'm
is
literally
wildly radical.
Yeah. Like I'm sitting here and look, by the way, we need radical activism. Like it is important to have people that are a bit on that fringe. I think it does help break down some of the barriers that other people are able to push through because of that. Do I always agree with radical takes on things? No, absolutely not. But I think it's a little weird for people to call what I'm doing radical when I'm simply saying, stay safe. If you're in a state or a place where you feel like you're threatened, find resources, talk to your pride organizations, talk to your resource centers in your area. And if you don't have one, go online. Here's a list of resources. To make a video saying that and saying that we're going to fight back against stuff that oppresses us, I don't think that's a radical stance.
Well, yeah, they don't want to fight back though. That goes against
Right.
they've won in their minds. They should be smooth sailing for them to fucking
Right.
oppress the shit out of people.
Even though they're the ones that said they were fighting the whole time that other people are president. These are the same people that complained the entire time Obama was president, the entire time that Biden has been president. So it's okay for them to complain if they're afraid of their guns being taken away. But if I'm offering resources for my community in red states where they are worried for their lives, then that's a problem. So
I mean, you saw his mustard suit. That was unacceptable for a president.
That
Right.
time that he fucking saluted with a coffee cup in his hand.
yeah.
He asked
Yeah.
for Dijon mustard.
I mean,
fucking
look,
fancy
the
pants.
reality is I'm ready to be radical. Like if you want me to be the radical, like left gay guy that you want me to, I can be that guy. I can do it. It's
Look,
been a
man,
minute since
I
I've done
come
it,
from the
but
late '80s, early '90s when radical just meant cool as fuck. So I'm
Right.
still down. You know
I
what
mean, look, the
Yeah,
reality is
Ninja
that
Turtles are radical.
the thing about it is that all this time they've been complaining about being oppressed. They were doing so and making money off of it. So the congratulations. Now you're going to have 4 years of left-leaning podcasters and commentators talking about all of the stuff that's coming down on our community. And the difference is this time it's actually going to be happening. So yeah. Thank you, Eric. Robert.
Yeah,
Appreciate
and what I'll do is I'll actually make just a document that will have like these links as well as many more. And if you have any to suggest to add to it, then let us know. And I'll just have that link, that one document link, basically every stream to hand out.
If you're going to make some kind of like an info clip or something to use in videos, let me know. I'd like to get a copy of that for my channel as well, if you do that.
Okay.
So, if
Cool,
you
cool.
don't mind, I don't want to take advantage of your work, but
Well, I mean, yeah, maybe I want to be taken advantage of.
oh, there we go. Where's the couch? Where's the couch?
I'm radical like that. Yeah,
Where's
I'll
the
be your couch.
So it's not a black
It's-
couch.
Wait, hold on. Is it? That sounds a little like, All right. Anyway, I'm gonna get out of here. Everybody
All
watching
right.
on my channel, be good. Don't get spanked by these guys if you do something wrong, because they will spank you. So, but thank you guys for hanging out, and I'll see everybody. I'll be live tomorrow night, Nocturnal Nerdcast, guys. I'll be live tomorrow, talking about nothing political. So come in and hang out with me and everybody. And Bob sometimes shows up. Dane's obviously welcome to come as well. I know, Bob, it just depends on if you work on Friday mornings or not.
Yeah, no,
I have a hard time
Friday, so I
separating
won't
this
be
stuff
there,
sometimes in the moment. Like I may like be like, okay, I'm not going to talk about anything political, but then like get on there and it just like enters my brain and I start saying stuff. So I don't want to.
That's cool. No, that's cool. Like I have people try to break me all the time. A couple of my co-hosts are always like, well, what about Trump or what about Biden? Or I'm just like, oh, I don't even talk about this. But anyway, I'm out of here.
What
Everybody
about
have a
Tom
good day.
McDonald claiming that he's identifying as a fucking good rapper? How about that shit?
Yeah.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
Wait, is he
Yeah,
trying to rap?
I did. Yes.
Holy
Yeah.
shit! I had no idea.
By the way, I didn't even bring up the fact that there's that guy who used to date a trans woman that's now dressing in trans, taking pictures and pretending that he was doing it as a social experiment, but he owns like 100 dresses. I don't know if you've seen that or not.
I remember that. Yeah, that guy's a
we should
joke.
talk about that. Okay, so next week I'm going to put together a little segment for that because it's quite the deep dive. So it'll be fun.
Because I know the full details on him, but I just remember seeing him be like, he's a joke.
Yeah, it is. So I'm out. See everyone later.
Lovely.
Bye.
Later. And then there were two.
Fuck, just the two.
Just the two of us. We can make it if we try. I just want to watch the rest of this Marlon Wayans clip, honestly.
Oh
it's
yeah,
like, I
sure.
hadn't
Base
seen
as
it,
fuck.
and he's fucking saying some good shit.
The thing that you're talking about, the control part, isn't that part of parenting? Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but there's a point in parenting.
How old is your daughter now?
My child's 23.
Yeah, it's a part of parenting, but like if your kid, control is a degree of parenting, but the wisdom of parenting is that knowing what you can and should even try to control. And like where you should just let your child be a human being, and like if your kid decides they like reading this type of book or they like this sport over the sport you wish they would play, then like you kind of just need to let them do that, right? Like,
Well, listen, I will speak as a parent. I will say, in general, you can't control other people. When you're a parent, that's not 100% true, but it's still
it's
mostly
not
true.
honestly.
It's
I'd never
still
even thought about it like control with my kids. You know what I mean? It's like it's not how I see it. It's more like
Yeah.
you want to guide them as best you can. You want to, you know, you
Mhm.
want to establish a trust, and
Yes.
you know, so that they trust your intentions and that you care
Yeah.
what's best for them, and then you want to give them the guardrails, guidelines,
Mhm.
and you know, hope that they trust those, and sometimes they might even
Yeah.
test those, or they probably will test
Yes.
those.
And because
Um,
here's a fact. If your kid decides they want to do something stupid, they're going to do it.
Yeah.
And the
Oh, yeah.
best thing you can do is just
Especially the
set up
stupid
so
kids.
they're comfortable coming to you and confessing.
Yes. I'm just kidding. I don't have any stupid kids.
No, near
But
do I.
no,
I'm lucky, but yes.
really lucky. Yeah, I mean, my kids are great. Like, I mean, honestly, you know, I haven't really, you know what, I'm not gonna talk about it right now, but I mean, I do have my daughter has had an experience that relates to some of the stuff we've been talking about, and I maybe I'll decide if I want to talk about it in the future or not, or maybe I'll talk to her and see if she even be okay with it, even though nobody's gonna know who she is. I still feel weird talking about it too much without consent, but still. The point is that it worked out just fine. And that was with me trusting her to make some decisions about what she was doing. And she tried something out for a while, realized it's not really for me. It's not what I thought it was. And yeah, now things are great. And they were great then too, but you know, whatever. Kids are a lot smarter and more capable than I think, especially like reactionary minded parents want to give credit
Yeah.
for.
Yeah, they
You know, if
seem
you're
to think kids are just like a blank slate and you just like fill them up with stuff. And it's like, no, they get lots of information from outside of you, especially as they get older.
if you
All you
if you
can, yeah. I think if you're a good parent, all you've done is you set up someone that they can come to and trust.
I mean, I don't even think that's true, man. Like, I mean, yes, mine would be, I want my kid to make decisions that makes them happy and healthy. And, you know, if they are happy and healthy, then I am proud of them, whatever that is. You know, if they're not doing anything that's damaging themselves or limiting their own, you know, potential or anything like that, then I'm going to be proud of it, even if it, you know, isn't exactly what I had in mind. So,
Although I will say my kids consistently make me proud, not to brag, but yes.
same. I mean, yeah, I'm just saying it's not the first thing. It's not my first watermark for what I look.
They don't need to. It's a perk.
Yep.
Okay.
24 now.
Okay.
And this was happening when they were 22, 23. And for me, like,
that's the let go time. That's like you're your own person now.
Yeah. But
And-
you know, you're trying to hold on, right? And you want this thing that's in your head, normalcy, and you think about your grandchildren and you all kinds of shit. And it's like, yo, it's not on me to think about none of that. This is their life, and they should be happy. And if they do this or they want to change back, whatever they want to do, it's not on me to punch down on my child. It's on me to love my child. Period. That's all. All I could do is love my child, and that's what I do.
Did you try to talk them out of it?
Of course. I try to hypnotize that bitch.
I believe it.
No. I did. I was like, no, wait, hold on. And like I said, and I protested like against it. And you know, and I don't say that with pride.
Right.
I look back on those actions, and
it's funny how you can be
I'm ashamed.
so embarrassed by something you did 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Like that was I was only 50.
Crazy. I was embarrassed the moment I was forced to look in the mirror. I was embarrassed. And it only took me a week.
About your behavior?
Yeah.
It took you a week to realize like you're doing this wrong?
The transition for me, because their transition was like a 3-year process, 4-year process.
Yeah.
My transition was a week, one hard week. And I will say, you know, I got to a beautiful place called acceptance. And I pray for a lot of parents, family members, and, you know, just public, right? People in general.
Yeah.
It's not on us to judge anybody, right?
Right.
It's, hey man, live your life. And I tell my child, listen,
I just want to say what he's talked about, like that takes a lot of like personal growth. And that's not even necessarily, that's not an easy thing for a person to do. And the fact that he's so honest about it is pretty fucking Chad, frankly. This
Well, I mean,
this
you
is
just-
Chad behavior right here.
Hearing, thinking about how he first described it, and like how he was talking about you can't control it. That's kind of the wisdom that you almost only get by making the mistake of trying in the first place. You know what I mean? Like you
Yeah.
can't, and then realizing that's not the fucking way to go. Yeah, like I mean, honestly, it's awesome. I wish he was going around doing way more spots talking to people about this stuff, to be honest. But I'm gonna be looking out for him for sure, seeing what he's got going on. I know that he's had like a stand-up special pretty recently that I just kind of didn't watch, and maybe I will now. So
Yeah, I Marlon Wayans has not been somebody I don't like dislike him, but I've never really watched him. But just kind of what I've seen from him recently, it's been like, I don't know where he's at on comedy, but as far as just personal growth, he seems like a really base dude.
he had some, in my mind, he's got some iconic stuff from the early 90s with like In Living Color and shit like that that he was doing. I mean, in fact, he was doing.
Did he do In Living Color? I thought he was too young for that.
Was he?
Yeah, I think he was the younger
okay,
brother.
well, it's just like all the other Wayans then.
But
he was definitely
he
was definitely what's his name in this in Don't Be a Menace to South Central or Drinking Your Juice in the Hood, which that character then transferred over to the Scary Movie franchise. A lot of people don't realize the same character.
Now I'm getting a little bit confused.
Oh yeah, and of course the iconic Dungeons and Dragons.
that was the good Dungeons and Dragons too. Don't listen to that. Don't watch that Chris Pine shit. Watch the Justin Whalen Marlon Dungeons and Dragons.
Dude, y'all remember I'm Gonna Get You,
movie
Sucker?
That made me so scared to watch that other one.
I'm gonna get you, sucker. Fucking crazy shit, man. I remember that was like probably, honestly, no shit. That was probably my introduction to like, just kind of black culture at all. Period. Like of like these funny ass black dudes. Like I was like fucking enthralled by some of that shit. It was hilarious.
Let me double check.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was on Living
because I might be wrong about In Living Color.
No, Sean was in A Living Color. Okay, yeah. As an educator, a lot of this ability to change your mind is connected to having a fixed versus a growth mindset. Shit.
So he wasn't in Living Color. He just wasn't one of the main players.
Yeah, makes sense. But I mean, he was the one that kind of, I think him and I guess it was him and Marlon were the ones that I'm sorry, Damon Wayans were the ones that fucking really blew up outside of that too. Right?
Yes. Keaton Ivory, I think, has done lots of behind the scenes stuff. He's done lots of directing stuff.
Jamie Kennedy coming off like a crypto chud is what it is, man. Like if you watch some of his stuff, he's using some of the same, he's appealing to the same sentiments that chuds do, but he's not coming out and saying a lot of the stuff, at least from what I've seen. He's not coming out and saying, woke or anything, but he is saying like, oh man, nobody likes these Hollywood actors anymore because they're kind of standing on their, blah, blah, they're, like he's appealing to those same fucking sentiments though.
Who? What? Why are you just mentioning random names? What?
Yeah, Jim Carrey's white. No. He wasn't on that show.
Yeah, that's not a white show.
Fucking goddamn Fire Marshal Bill. Holy shit. That shit used to crack me up, dude. Let me tell you something.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've gone back and watched it, but I just remember as a kid watching it and loving that shit.
And I'm pretty sure that maybe those Fly Girls were kind of like at least a small part of my early puberty. You know what I mean? Like the Fly Girls dancing and shit.
Yeah, classic shit.
Yep. Oh man, yeah.
So we're just gonna spend the rest of the stream talking about In Living Color, guys. We got this.
J-Lo was on there. Yeah, that's right. J-Lo was a Fly Girl.
That's
true.
He was one of the dancers. Yeah.
Yep. 4 Wayans in total, huh? Goddamn, Carrie's Vanilla Ice skit. That's true. Oh shit.
Oh my god, that was pretty legendary.
McLeod, you mentioned what's his name here? Neil Brennan in context of that circle of that's not true, man. Now you're just spreading misinformation. You're getting blocked for it, dude. That's not even true. So yeah, what was I saying? Oh, so like, yeah, if can you point out the last time he was like on any one of those shows or anything? Because I haven't seen him doing that. I've seen several clips from his podcast, like where he's talking to Carrot Top, that are like really not the kind of conversations I would expect to see from Joe Rogan or any of those guys, where he's actually like engaging with people's emotional states and like they're, you know, learning from their past and shit like that. But yeah. Anyway. Yeah, these kids didn't have anything like fucking In Living Color, man. Poor kids.
Yeah. The world would
Poor
be better if In Living Color was still on the air right now.
Yep. All right. Well, I guess we should probably finish instead of just talking about the Wayans family for the rest of the day.
I guess so. Why not?
I guess so.
Do we have
But yeah,
anything
no,
else to go?
Amon Khalif was not proven to be a man. That's not something that's true. She was proven to have like a certain kind of disorder or something like that, that like if you're a fucking moron and you think that that means that that automatically makes you a man, then you're stupid. But you know, she's not a man, she's a woman. She was born female and never identified as a man, never been anything but a female. So yeah.
True.
Favorite Marlon Wayans movie? I don't know. I'm trying to think of what all
I
they
mean,
would be.
for me, it's got to be the first scary movie, right?
Yeah, the first or the second one, or you know, Don't Be a Menace to South Central was also fucking funny. I remember that. I used a clip from that. I don't know if you noticed this in our Critical Drinker video, when the scene where it talks about I mean, in the part where I think it's you talking about James Bond and his wife that got killed back in that movie, and like during a drive-by basically or whatever. And I cut in there a clip from, it's actually Marlon Wayans' character doing fucking like shooting back at the drive-by. He's like doing a roll across the yard or whatever.
Oh, that seems familiar. Yeah.
It's like, break yourself, fool. All right.
That's awesome.
God damn it, Gordy. Yeah. Man, these motherfuckers today would watch
Probably.
Alien and be like, ugh, she looks like a man. It's like, man, that is more woman than you can fucking handle, dude.
True.
Loke dog. Yes. Yes. All right. Well, with that in mind, I do have a clip here that's kind of cool that we could. This young man, he's saying some interesting things. I think he might have a future in politics. Nonetheless, he's saying some stuff that's very prescient, very right now. You know, like I don't know if this has applied before in the past or not, the things he's saying, but it definitely matters to right now. Anything you wanted to say, Bob? You stream tomorrow or what?
Yes, yes, I am streaming tomorrow. Got some comic books to cover. We got Absolute Batman #2, guys. We got Uncanny X-Men #5. We got exciting books to go over. And I'm trying to think what else. I don't know if I have a topic set in mind. I'll probably think of it tonight. But yeah, it's been a week. It's been a week. There's plenty of stuff.
There's some stuff going on for sure. It's really just a matter of like, what do I want to cover from now on?
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, oh yeah, that's probably his best role for sure. Absolutely his best role. Fuck yes.
Oh fuck! I'm so used to comedy from him. Yeah, Jesus.
But
Christ.
I mean, yeah, he's
that's the first time I saw where I was
fantastic
like,
in this
Jesus, he's an
fucking movie.
actor.
Anyway, oh yeah, we're post Zeb now. Holy shit. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, poor Zeb. I think he got a little bit harder than he deserves, Zeb Wells. But I haven't actually really dug too deep into that Spider-Man run yet. I'm probably read the whole thing and just see if it's as bad as everybody acts like it is. I bet it's not.
The little bit I've read of the Zeb Wells Spider-Man stuff, I've enjoyed. You know, there's some stuff where I can see people have an issue with it, but I felt like he did like a unique spin on it to make it different. I mean,
I have seen it more than twice, I think, Byron. But yeah, legitimately, it's the kind of movie that's so good that it's so effective. I only needed to see it once, really.
Yeah, no, the Requiem for a Dream it's a really good movie, and I recommend everybody watch it. But it's not like, yeah, let's put it on repeat.
Be prepared to go to church and take a hot shower immediately after watching it.
Jesus.
All right, yeah, and I'll see you guys on Friday night for the Friday thing that we do, and we'll see what happens there. No plans yet, but something will happen. And here's this young man, but like I said, look out for him. Maybe he's gonna make a break for it in politics. We'll see.
Republican Party do so good?
Now I'm going to tell you something that very few people in Congress would tell you. If you are the Republican leadership, and this is what your goals are, your goals are to give huge tax breaks to the very richest people in this country. Your goals are ultimately to privatize Social Security so that Wall Street can make money from that. Privatize Medicare so the insurance companies can make more money. Privatize education. Do away with public schools. If those are your goals and you said that to the American people, you think you get a lot of lower. There are many members of the Congress today, Republicans, who not only will not raise the minimum wage, which is $5.15 an hour, you know what they will tell you, honestly? They believe in abolishing the minimum wage. Did you know that? Check it out. Telling you the truth. So that if Americans can work for $3 an hour or $2 an hour, not a problem. Now, if you had an agenda like that and you went before the American people, tax breaks for the rich, destruction of Medicare, destruction of Social Security as we know it, lowering the minimum wage or abolishing it, how many votes do you think you'd get? Not a whole lot. Maybe the richest 1% would vote for you. But that's not a lot of votes. So what do? I've got a problem. You package it. How do you package it? And here I want you to pay attention to me. Because this is bad stuff. I don't mind debating people who say, I was on a Hannity show, Sean Hannity yesterday, and Hannity, extreme right-wing guy, he thinks he loves these tax breaks for the rich and so forth, so we had a little bit of a discussion about that. Actually, it was a loud discussion, matter of fact. But I don't mind people who are upfront about that. Okay, give the rich more tax breaks, we can argue that. But that doesn't win you elections. So this is what you do. What you do is divide people up. When you asked me your question, how do I get elected? I said, I try to bring people together. We fight for women's rights. We support the rights of minorities. We support the rights of workers. We bring the majority of people together. And occasionally, honest people will have differences of opinion. In this room, there will be differences of opinion. But everybody in this room is in agreement that everybody should have health care, right? Question number 2, should we increase funding for education or should we lower funding for education? Raise your hand if you think we should increase funding for education. Okay, you're on the side of the vast majority of Americans. Okay. So on those issues, we bring people together. Now, what do the Republicans try to do? And they use it in what we call, kind of language that they not upfront about. What do? We divide people up by races. Affirmative action becomes one issue. All them black people are getting the jobs that we white people used to have. Split people, working class, white against black, instead of working together to create decent jobs for all. Those uppity women now, they want the right to choose. We'll split people on the abortion.
Hasta la vista. Nuance and context. It is what it is. It is.